turn my mic on. It's 6:30. I'll call the meeting to order. First item is the rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. A roll call, please, Ms. Meltzer.
Here.
Here.
Present.
Here.
I'm sorry, my mic has not been on. I apologize. I don't know, does that mean the public couldn't hear? Or
Yeah.
no?
Probably over the airwaves.
Okay. Do you want me to start over then, or?
I don't think so.
Okay. Trustee King,
Here.
Treasurer Aiello,
Present.
Clerk Meltzer here. They can all see that we're here.
Okay.
Everybody's
And
here.
next item is the approval of the agenda. Board members, pursuant to board rules, there is a new procedure for what would now be item number 18, add-on. Chair recognizes Ms. Bednar to give you a brief description, and then we'll need to vote to add it to the published agenda.
Earlier this afternoon, I received a call from the Department of Roads, and they are looking for us to change the cost share agreements and be able to look at possibly doing, instead of a detail 7 replacement on Moravian and Canal, instead doing a 2-inch overlay, which is a better solution. It does increase our cost, however, it is within the budget, which if you decide to do the add-on, we can discuss further at that time.
Okay.
I would move to add the request to revise cost shares from the Department of Roads as number 18 on the budget.
I support
or on the agenda.
Okay, been moved and supported. Roll call, please.
Trustee Matuzak.
Yes.
Trustee Kress.
Yes.
It was
King.
King. That
Oh, was it? I'm sorry.
We look alike. We look a lot alike.
No, it's not that. I just didn't hear you.
Just the hair.
He dresses
Yeah,
better.
it must be the hair. Yeah. Okay, sorry about
You're
that.
not supposed to agree with me.
I voted yes.
Okay.
Trustee King, did you respond? I'm sorry.
I said yes.
Trustee Wade.
Yes.
Trustee Kress.
Yes.
Supervisor Gilliam.
Yes.
Treasurer Aiello.
Yes.
Clerk Meltzer, yes. Motion passes.
Okay, we'll now need a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll make that motion as amended.
Been moved. And support?
Support.
Roll call, please, Ms. Meltzer.
Treasurer Aiello.
Yes.
Trustee Matuzak.
Yes.
Trustee Wade.
Yes.
Trustee Kress.
Yes.
Supervisor Gilliam.
Yes.
Trustee King.
Yes.
Clerk Meltzer, yes. Motion passes.
Okay, that brings us
Mr.
to
Supervisor, I had made the request to make a public announcement, and
Chair recognizes Clerk Meltzer.
thank you. So I wrote it down so it's not so wordy and long, but I did want to give a brief report about an event that took place a couple weeks ago. I was able, through board approval, to attend an advocacy day in Washington, D.C., where I was able to speak with our congressional leaders, Senate leaders on election funding. And the groups of clerks from around the U.S. met in D.C. with their congressional representatives recently to educate them on the importance of funding election mandates. I am grateful to Congressman John James, Congresswoman Haley Stevens, Congressman Tom Barrett, Senator Gary Peters, and each of their amazing staff for the time they took to listen to our request for funding, imperative to deliver democracy to each of our communities. There are many checks and balances in every election process, and most importantly, a paper ballot. If you have concerns about the integrity of our voting systems, you most definitely will want to come to our public accuracy test done prior to every election. I send out notice of the test in the paper on our website and social media. No taxpayer money was used to fund this important opportunity. PEI, Project for Election Infrastructure, headquartered in Washington, D.C., paid for the airfare, hotel, and travel accommodations. If there is a grant for such events like these, I always request support, and in this case, I was invited, and they valued my contribution, and so they paid for it. It costs money to implement checks and balances, to get new equipment when contracts expire, cost of election workers, truck rental to deliver equipment. Law enforcement is often used and must be paid. There are so many things, too many to mention here, but you can look at all the expenditures after each election and add them up. It is very costly to execute elections. When state and federal governments set mandates, in this case, safe, secure, accurate, and accountable elections, they need to include funding to implement their expectations. Everything has a lifespan. Machines don't last forever, and new processes take time and money. These are called unfunded mandates and are factually unconstitutional, but government does it all the time. The state of Michigan is currently undergoing an RFP for new equipment as the contract with the 3 vendors in Michigan ends in 2027. Clinton Township contracts with ES&S, and I was president of the Macomb County Clerks Association 10 years ago when we underwent the last RFP and was instrumental in influencing the county clerk at the time to contract with ES&S as our election equipment vendor. The cost for new election equipment for Clinton Township is estimated around $300,000. The state has asked the legislature to budget $43 million for the new equipment, which will provide some secure and update reliable machines. The new security standard version, VVSG 2.0, was adopted by the U.S. Election Administration Commission, and the voluntary voting system guidelines are a set of specifications and requirements against which voting systems can be tested to determine if they meet required standards. I want to thank this board for approving my request for out-of-state travel to allow me to go to D.C. to lobby for election funding. We are hopeful our work will result in funding democracy for all of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Meltzer. Appreciate that. Appreciate your work and advocacy on behalf of elections. That brings us to item number 1, the consent agenda, of which we have, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 items.
I move adoption of the consent agenda as printed.
I'll second that.
Moved and supported. Any discussion on the items? Roll call, please.
Trustee Matuzek.
Yes.
Clerk Meltzer, yes. Trustee Wade.
Yes.
Trustee Kress.
Yes.
Supervisor Gilliam.
Yes.
Trustee King.
Yes.
Treasurer Ayala.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item number 2, National Emergency Medical Services Week 2026. Clerk Meltzer?
Thank you. It's coming up, it's thinking, sorry. All right. At the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees for the Charter Township of Clinton held in the board chambers on the 11th day of May, whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide lifelong care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury, whereas emergency medical services has grown to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine. Whereas the members of emergency medical services teams engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. Whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees for the Charter Township of Clinton hereby recognizes the week of May 17th to the 23rd of 2026 as Emergency Medical Services Week, which coincides with Emergency Medical Services Week celebrations and events that are acknowledged throughout the state of Michigan and the United States. The Board of Trustees gives thanks and gratitude to all of the emergency medical service providers who reside or work in Clinton Township and who make our community the best place to call home.
Thank you, Ms. Meltzer. Chair recognizes our Clinton Township Fire Chief, John Gallagher.
Mr. Supervisor, board members, thank you for this evening and speaking about the fire department in regards to EMS. This is a very, very situation that's dear to my heart, being the previous EMS chief. This community is in very, very good hands with the professionals that work in this in Clinton Township, whether the fire department and assistant with Messer Ambulance as well as the hospitals are located here within our region. the patients that receive care here receive the highest level of care. The level of care that it actually is provided is forever increasing. The requirements of a paramedic and EMT licensure these days has never has been in the past. And these hours are dedicated to keeping up with the best practices as well as the best parent outcomes. And we're realizing those with the care we're providing today. The calls for service continue to increase. The complexities of these calls continue to increase, and we're rising to the occasion to bring the best possible care to the residents here in Clinton Township. So I appreciate the support and appreciate the support of the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Gallagher. Floor is open for a motion.
I'll make that motion.
A second.
Motion by Treasurer Aiello, supported by Clerk
I'll
Meltzer.
support.
Any
Oh.
discussion? Roll call, please.
Treasurer Aiello?
Yes.
Clerk Meltzer, yes. Trustee Wade?
Yes.
Trustee Matuzak?
Yes.
Trustee Kress?
Yes.
Supervisor Gilliam?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Chief,
Thank you.
before we close this out, is there any activities planned for the week to celebrate?
We like to recognize our folks. We do have working on different challenge coins as well as for folks who are involved in the community for recognition, working diligently with our EMS chief to come up with those type of situations. We've got a great start, and we're looking forward to celebrating those outcomes very, very soon. So
Great. Thank you, Chief.
thank you.
Okay. And then item number 3, a proclamation in recognition of Mr. Robert Jantz on the occasion of his 90th birthday.
And he is here, so we are honored to have him. Whereas on behalf of the Charter Township of Clinton Board of Trustees, it is an honor and a privilege to officially recognize Robert E. Jantz as he observes his 90th birthday. Whereas Robert E. Jantz was born on May 17, 1936 in Detroit, Michigan, and was married to Betty McIntosh for 50 years, having 3 children, Carrie, Kim, and Liz. He also has 5 grandchildren, Amy, Aaron, Audra, Stephen, and Ryan. After the death of his beloved wife, Betty, he found love again with Carol Nutter, whom he has been married to for 19 years. Whereas Robert E. Jantz has resided in Detroit, Roseville, and then Clinton Township, where he has resided for 60 years and still resides today. Whereas Robert E. Jantz was employed by Reynolds & Reynolds for 25 years and Nelson Business Systems for 10 years, where he was in business for form sales, selling to both the Charter Township of Clinton and to Macomb County for 30 years. And whereas Robert E. Jantz has been involved with the Michigan Special Olympics for over 40 years, where he helped directly raise $300,000. He was also a Wirtz Warrior for 10 years. And whereas Robert E. Jantz has been involved with the sport of golf for 60 years and has never encountered a golf course that he didn't like to play. Whereas Robert E. Jantz is joined by his family and friends to celebrate his 90th birthday. Therefore, by virtue of the authority vested in me as Supervisor of the Charter Township of Clinton, I do hereby proclaim and congratulate Robert E. Jantz as he observes his 90th birthday and extend best wishes to him on this very happy occasion. In witness, I have hereunto set my hand this 11th day of May in the year of our Lord, 2026, Paul Gilliam, Supervisor.
Mr. Jantz, I will present this as the official proclamation of Clinton Township, and we welcome you to the board meeting here tonight, and we appreciate your longtime residency and contributions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
There you are,
You
sir.
don't have to give a speech or anything.
Yes.
You sure can, we'd love to hear it.
Well, we all know Carrie, so if there's any, the apple probably didn't fall far from the tree.
Don't lost for words, right?
Right. It's an honor, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And item number 4, proclamation in recognition of SF.
Oh, we need a motion to
I'll
approve
make
the
that motion.
resolution
We
as
do.
presented.
We
I'll
need
make
a
that
motion to
motion.
approve the proclamation.
I'll make that motion. I'll support.
Moved by Trustee Kress, supported by Trustee King. Roll call.
Wait 1 second. Okay, Trustee King,
Oh,
I'm sorry, trustee Kress. Trustee Kress.
Yes.
Trustee King.
Yes.
Trustee Wade.
Yes.
Trustee Matuzak.
Yes.
Supervisor Gilliam.
Yes.
Treasurer Ayala.
Yes.
Clerk Melcher, yes. Motion passes.
Great. Thank you again, sir.
Thank you.
Item number 4, proclamation in recognition of SFC Kenneth G. McClellan.
This is awarded the 21st Theater Sustainment Command Hero of the Week for March 29th, 2026. Whereas on behalf of the Charter Township of Clinton Board of Trustees, it is an honor and a privilege to officially recognize SFC Kenneth G. McClellan II, whose proud parents reside in Clinton Township, on his accomplishments as Sergeant First Class of the 12C Bridge crew member with Headquarters and Headquarters Company, 7th Engineer Brigade. Whereas SFC Kenneth G. McClellan II has been honored by his command for his dedication and leadership. Whereas SFC Kenneth G. McClellan II's leadership has been instrumental in the success of Battalion's driver training program, ensuring soldiers are properly trained and certified to operate military vehicles safely and effectively. Whereas SFC Kenneth G. McClellan II has taken on the critical responsibility of managing the battalion's ammunition and resource requirements, a role that demands precision, attention to detail, and unwavering accountability. Whereas SFC Kenneth G. McClellan II's ability to balance these demanding roles while maintaining a positive and motivating presence within the unit is a testament to his character and leadership. SFC McClellan is not only a reliable soldier, but also a mentor and role model for those around him. Whereas a core value of SFC Kenneth G. McClellan II is, as a soldier, be one who does things right. Don't cut corners, even when it's harder and takes longer. The process is there for a reason. Follow it, trust it, and your results will always be better. And whereas SFC Kenneth G. McClellan II currently serves at the battalion level as a battalion master driver, ammunition forecasting, and land reservation manager, he has served honorably for 16 years in the United States Army. Therefore, by virtue of the authority vested in me as supervisor of the Charter Township of Clinton, it is an honor and a pleasure to recognize SFC Kenneth G. McClellan II for his many accomplishments, the United States Army. Thank you for his service, and to congratulate him for being honored by his command with the 21st TSC Hero of the Week for March 29th, 2026. In witness thereof, I have underto set my hand this 11th day of May in the year of our Lord, Paul Gilham, Supervisor.
Okay. We'll do the motion first. How about that?
I'll make that motion to support the resolution as presented.
Motion by Clerk Melcher, supported by
I
Trustee
support.
Matuzak. Roll call, please.
Clerk Melcher, yes. Trustee Matuzak?
Yes.
Trustee Wade?
Yes.
Trustee Kress?
Yes.
Supervisor Gilliam?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Treasurer Aiello?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. And is there a representative here? Okay. Ma'am, and you are? If we could. Okay.
Woo-woo.
All right.
Yeah.
It's your honor to present this to you on behalf of the Board of Trustees and to congratulate your son in the wonderful work that he's doing keeping our nation safe. Okay. And next, a young lady who seems to have a pretty large following here, proclamation in recognition of Autumn Pratt.
And this is exciting to read. This is going to be really interesting for all those that are listening. Whereas on behalf of the Charter Township of Clinton Board of Trustees, it is an honor and a privilege to officially recognize Autumn Pratt, Lieutenant of the Macomb County Sheriff's Explorers Post, for displaying grace under pressure during an emergency situation that occurred in the Charter Township of Clinton on March 25th, 2026. And whereas during Autumn Pratt's routine drive home, she observed a woman in distress laying under a pine tree along the roadside of Little Mac Avenue. Autumn ascertained that the said woman may be in need of assistance and turned her vehicle around to check on her welfare. Whereas Autumn Pratt, from her vehicle while assessing the situation, cautiously asked said woman if she was in need of assistance. Said woman frantically asked Autumn to take her to the hospital. Whereas Autumn Pratt, from her vehicle, dialed 911 and requested an ambulance. Autumn then proceeded to exit her vehicle to check on the condition of said woman. And whereas upon closer look, Autumn Pratt ascertained that said woman had blood on her hands and appeared to be holding a wound on her abdomen. Autumn proceeded to lift said woman's shirt, exposing what appeared to be a puncture wound. Said woman informed Autumn that she was trying to walk to McLaren Hospital, located in Mount Clemens, Michigan. Whereas Autumn Pratt resolutely applied pressure to said woman's puncture wound while maintaining constant communication with the 911 operator until police and an ambulance arrived. Autumn remained on the scene to provide what information she could to the authorities. Therefore, be it proclaimed that the Charter Township of Clinton Board of Trustees hereby commends Autumn Pratt for responding with compassion in a difficult situation, for remaining calm and cool under pressure, for acting selflessly on another's behalf, and ultimately for bringing much-needed positivity into the world. Be it therefore proclaimed, I, Paul Gilliam, by virtue of the authority vested in me as supervisor of the Charter Township of Clinton, maintain that it is an honor and a pleasure to commend Autumn Pratt for going above and beyond that of a passerby, providing aid to a woman in distress, and courageously helping save a life. I have hereunto set my hand this 11th day of May in the year of our Lord 2026. Paul Gilliam, Supervisor.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion approved.
I'll second.
Okay, moved by Treasurer Aiello, supported by Clerk Meltzer. Roll call, please.
Treasurer Aiello.
Yes.
Clerk Meltzer, yes. Trustee Wade.
Yes.
Trustee Matuzak.
Yes.
Trustee Kress.
Yes.
Supervisor Gilliam.
Yes.
Trustee King.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Now, Autumn, we are going to put you on the spot. So I'm going to ask you to step to the microphone. Here is the official proclamation that we want to present to you. So you know what, I think you have family members that want to take your picture. So we'll, turn towards the camera. There you go.
Hold on, here we go. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Now, Autumn, here's what we need to know. You're part of the Macomb County Sheriff Explorer Program. What possessed you to do that?
Actually, so I've been interested in a career in law enforcement since I was young. My uncle, actually, he introduced me to the program. He's like, I think you'd really like this. Long story short, I've been in the program for 4 years. I love it. It's great if you have a young adult, young kid that's interested in a career in law enforcement. It's a great source to get them out there, get them kind of introduced to it. I love it very much, and it's a very important part of my life.
Nice.
Now, Autumn, seeing that you are part of the Sheriff's Explorer, do you have any interest in moonlighting to help us recruit officers to the Clinton Township Police Department? Because I can tell you that this is one of the hardest things that both our fire department and our police department are facing right now. Young people who value public service and who want to find a way to contribute and give back to their community by keeping it safe, by caring for people in need, and you, no doubt, exemplify all of those qualities, and we should send you out on the road to every school in Macomb County to tell this story, and they can, too, feel the sense of pride that I'm sure you do in your heroic efforts. All right. Thank you. Board members.
Thank you.
Clerk Meltzer.
I just wondered if Captain Coppola thought that maybe he wants to recruit her and pull her away from the sheriff into Clinton Township. And she can do a ride-along with you guys, right?
Happy to have her.
All right, see that? We'd love to have you.
All right.
Thank you.
Trustee Wade.
Yes, I would just like to say I know where Autumn got her desire to be involved in the community. Her mom, Dawn, who I've known for many years, and her uncle, Rick, over there holding the camera up, are both very involved in the community, and I'm sure they've had a strong influence on young Autumn. So thank you, and I'm sure we'll see you in the future here.
Great. Thank you again, Autumn. We appreciate you being here and allowing us to honor those contributions that you've made already at such a young age. All right. Okay, item number 6.
Supervisor?
Trustee Matusek.
We have many folks who came to see someone honored tonight. We're now about to move into what some would describe as the boring parts of the meeting. If you all wish to leave, we don't take any offense.
Thank you.
Not that you have to. If you want to stick around for the boring part, you absolutely can. Without objection, let's take a 2-minute recess. To call the meeting back to order and proceed with our agenda. Item number 6, introduction of applicant for reappointment to the Parks and Recreation Committee.
Dear board members, there are 3 terms open on Parks and Recreation Committee. The committee holds terms of 2 years. The terms have an expiration date of November 20th, 2028. Attached for review is the application for reappointment from the following applicants. Valerie Chavez. Original appointment date was January 30th, 2023. Per the policy guidelines, an invitation has been extended to the applicant to attend the May 11th, 2026 board meeting, where an opportunity will be given to make a 3-minute introduction. Thank you for your time and consideration in this matter. Sincerely, Paul Gilham, Supervisor.
Okay. Board members, I do not see Ms. Chavez here, but she is a current member of the board. She serves in good standing, has taken on the role of chairing the Parks and Rec Committee, and so for that reason, I move that we suspend the 2-step process and move to appoint Ms. Chavez to the Parks and Rec Committee.
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Trustee Matusek.
Just want to point out that she is currently the chair of the committee. She stepped up. She's doing a great job, and I'm very happy to see that she wants to keep going. Additionally, her background check is included, so we can eliminate the 2-step process.
Okay, Trustee Kress.
She just answered my question. Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Treasurer Aiello.
Yes.
Trustee Matusek.
Yes.
Trustee Wade.
Yes.
Trustee Kress.
Yes.
Supervisor Gilliam.
Yes.
Trustee King.
Yes.
Clerk Meltzer, yes. Motion passes.
And bringing us to item number 7, introduction of applicant for reappointment to the Historical Commission, Mr. Jim Hungerford.
There are 6 terms open on the Historical Commission. The Historical Commission holds terms of 3 years. 3 terms expire June 30th, 2027, and 3 terms expire on June 30th, 2029. Attached for review is an application for reappointment for the following applicant. As you said, Mr. Supervisor, this is Jim Hungerford, term expiring June 30th, 2029. Original appointment, 1998. So per the policy guidelines, an invitation has been extended for him to attend and give a brief introduction. And I don't know that he's here.
I do not see Mr. Hungerford in attendance. However, I can tell you that he is a longstanding member, serving the community for a very long time on multiple committees, including the Historical Commission. And for that reason, I move that we move to appoint him tonight.
Support.
I'll second that.
Oh, no, you
Oh.
moved it, and the supervisor moved it, actually.
Yeah.
And Matuzak seconded.
And his criminal background check is attached.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Supervisor Gilliam.
Yes.
Trustee Matuzak.
Yes.
Trustee Wade.
Yes.
Trustee Kress.
Yes.
Trustee King.
Yes.
Treasurer Aiello.
Yes.
Clerk Musser, yes. Motion passes.
Okay, item number 8, our annual action plan public hearing for the Community Development Block Grant Funding for 2026.
Each year, the Charter Township of Clinton receives an allocation of grant funding from the Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, in the form of the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG. The township's allocation in program year 2026 is $577,145. Planning and Community Development would like to invite the board and the residents of Clinton Township to offer their comments on the proposed budget submitted with this agenda item. And after the public hearing, staff requests board approval to submit the plans with any requested and board-approved changes to HUD for its approval.
Okay, board members, I will point out that Mr. Matt Wallace, Assistant Director of the Planning and Community Development Department, is here in attendance if you have questions on the proposed plan, but I think we need to open the public hearing.
Yeah, Mr. Supervisor, so I have a procedural question. So we need a motion to open a public hearing, a motion to close the public hearing, and then if we wish, a motion to approve the allocations?
I believe-
Mr. Wallace?
I believe that motion to open has been open. It
Yeah.
has been open.
It was opened
Okay.
at the
Yeah.
previous meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to close.
I'm just trying to figure out the procedure here.
Mr. Wallace, why don't you give us a brief synopsis of the plan and how it was developed and what motion you would like from the board?
Okay. It's a pretty standard action plan compared to past years. A little more activity on the public service side of things, but that's a relatively small part of the grant. But we do have as far as I know, record number of recipients, subrecipients, with some new ones. And policy has been when we have new recipients, we limit them to $2,500, whereas the more regular ones are limited to $5,000 typically. And that's just to kind of make sure we get a feel for each other, work things out, make sure we work out a compliancy plan. And once everything, runs smoothly, I'm sure they'll be back next year and, pursuing, being able to help the township more with more funding.
And the motion that you're seeking from the board?
Yeah, after the hearing closes, just approval to submit it to HUD so that we can start on July 1st with this program year.
Okay. And just as a point of note, this not only funds programs at Parks and Recreation, it also contributes to our annual Americans with Disabilities Act sidewalk and curb improvements, housing rehabilitation, as well as the number of community groups that are doing good work in our community.
Yes.
So following approval, you'll be developing the actual specific contracts with these different organizations.
Yeah, I'll come up with agreements for each one of the ones that aren't us. And those will call out more specific budgets, performance measurements, and it'll just give us a better idea of what will be carried out with the CDBG funding.
Okay. Any further comments from the board? Trustee Wade?
Yes, could you just, for clarification, just explain the housing rehabilitation?
Yeah, that's a program we've been doing, I think, ever since we've had CDBG funding. It's a two-pronged program. It's either you get, well, okay, I'll start at the beginning. It's for single-family houses that are owner-occupied, and are, distinct units. You know, they can't be multi-unit condos or anything like that. But if they're income qualified, which means 80% of area median income or less, which in the 26 numbers for a family of 4, that's about $104,000. If they qualify, they can get up to $35,000 in repairs done to their home. And if they have an emergency need, we expedite them a little bit, and they can get up to, I believe, $15,000. And you know, that's typically furnaces, hot water heaters, maybe portion of a roof. Anymore, you can't do much with $15,000, but so that's pretty much how it works.
Now, the projects that you would allocate money to somebody for, do we pick who the vendor is to do the work, or does the township, or?
We have a set of vendors that we always send out to. If they have, you know, we're always looking for more.
Right.
So if they want to request somebody, we can, you know, as long as they're qualified and pass muster, we'll include them on the bid. And you know, they just get considered like anyone else. And if they really insist on that vendor, they would just pay the difference between whatever their bid was and the winning bid.
Okay,
Obviously, that's not common, but.
Okay, thank you.
So, Mr. Wallace, I think it's also important to mention, as we're talking about this program, that it's self-perpetuating. In other words, when we do the repairs, we're able to place a lien on the property. When the property transfers, that lien is repaid, those funds go back into the housing rehab fund, and then they can be utilized to make repairs on other people's property. Is that correct?
Yes, we've had years where we've had over $200,000 in program income, and that just lets us do more houses.
Okay.
Okay. So I think what we're looking for here is a motion to close the public hearing and adopt the plan as presented.
Yeah,
Okay.
that would be perfect.
I'll make that
All right,
motion.
okay. Motion by
I'll second that.
Clerk Meltzer, supported by, okay, all right, Treasurer Aiello. And for comment, Trustee King.
Just had a quick question. In regards to the pending to submission, what does that exactly mean? Could you just-
Those, I updated, I was able to iron that all out. What happened was, we had, like I said, the most requests ever, and there were a couple where they had contacted me and said they were interested. They hadn't actually submitted what they were gonna do. So I contacted them last week and said, you know, it's about time to get it in. And actually, one had emailed me, and it must have been to the wrong address or something, because I never saw the email, but it laid out their plan. And the other one, I never heard back from. So one of those, I had 5,000 on there as pending, right? One of those is now the Gamma Delta Iota CDC. They're gonna do like a community distribution thing. And then the other one, like I said, didn't pan out. And so what I did was I filled the senior center's fitness room attendant to the fully funded amount. They had asked for $17,160. Since we were pressed, I had just kept them at $16,765. So I did that and put the rest into Parks and Rec, getting them up to pretty much what they spent this past year.
Thank you.
Further discussion from the board, Trustee Kress.
Thank you for coming. I had a question.
Yeah.
Building and infrastructure, it says sidewalk and curb improvements. Where would those take place? Is that a subdivisions, private property, Clinton Township owned property?
It's public property because it's, you know, it's sidewalk to the street. So it's in the public right of way. But we pick low, moderate income census block groups. Because that way we can do sidewalks and ADA curb improvements.
So how does this differ from, let's say, the subdivision at Canal and Clinton River Road? They're doing sidewalk replacement there, excuse me, and we're charging the residents for uneven concrete and replacing slabs. How does that differ from this? Why are these people getting this paid for free, essentially?
I'm going to refer to DPW, excuse me, Department of Public Services Director Mary Bednar.
So we do have two types of sidewalk programs. The first is what we're talking about right now, the Community Development Block Grant, and these are for low-income areas. And so the difference is the canal area that we're doing, those are based on complaints that we received and do not qualify for this low-income area.
Is it through the chair, is it the residents' income level, or it's the neighborhood overall perceived income level?
It's the census block group, which is usually a little smaller than a neighborhood, but they have a census-determined income level relative to median income. As long as it's 51% of the houses are over 80%, or I'm sorry, under 80% of area median income, that they're eligible for this program.
Okay, so this is my last question. So for instance, the Canal and Clinton River area.
Yeah.
Let's say there's a senior that's on a fixed income and is being required to replace sidewalk slabs. They can't enjoy the benefits of this. Why?
They could conceivably, but we would have to set up a program that does that. We can't just do like an umbrella program that's over sidewalks and does that sometimes and this sometimes. We would have to set aside funds specifically for low, moderate income households, to cover their assessments.
Matt, would they be able to go through the community rehab through Ed's program and apply that way? I don't know.
I believe so.
So there is a program out there, the community rehab, that they could apply through. And if they do qualify, then we'd be able to transfer it to this program.
Okay, it just seems like the presumption of a neighborhood is what's controlling the monies. And there could be somebody that has substantial income in a low-income neighborhood.
Yeah.
And then some, like a senior, for instance, in a high-income neighborhood that has a fixed income and no monies. So if there's some way in the future we can address those in need rather than large neighborhoods, that'd be fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, we can take a look at that.
Thank you.
I will say that the neighborhood approach, I think, gives us better efficiency because of, just being consolidated to one area for the length of the job. We get pretty good bang for the buck. But, I understand there's a lot of hardship with unexpected costs, and, we can definitely pursue that in the future.
Thank you.
Trustee Kress, I will say, I like where you're going with this because of the fact that, we did approve these sidewalk improvements. It is a cost to the residents. And in addition, we had a number of appeals that were based upon, hey, I'm going to really struggle having to pay this. And so I think it's something we should be looking at, and I appreciate you bringing it to the attention of the board. Trustee Matusek.
The whole community development block grant program is based on the 10-year census. It determines which of the census tracts meet the income requirements. So for instance, this has come up with the Prince Drury Park neighborhood.
Yeah.
We used to be able to run community development block grant funded recreation programs at the park because that neighborhood qualified as based on income. That neighborhood no longer qualifies based on the last census and who filled it out and how much the money is. So it moves around a little bit every 10 years as the census lines are drawn, which makes it a little confusing because when we look at a neighborhood, we think, oh, this neighborhood may be more low income, but it turns out when you look at the census data, they're no longer qualified. or this neighborhood may look like a great neighborhood, but income-wise, it's full of seniors who aren't making much money. So the block grant determination seems a little skewed sometimes, and it's sort of hard to understand. But I'm happy that we can fund sidewalk, ADA, housing rehabilitation, that's always a great thing, and that we can fund, at least in a small part, these organizations. I mean, nobody's getting enough money to run their program for a year, but we're able to fund some significant programs here, and I'm really happy about that.
The priority is placed on groups that are serving residents of Clinton Township, is that correct?
Yeah, yes.
All right.
I mean, there's only a couple exceptions where it's exclusively Clinton Township residents.
Okay. And to the point of the changing of the census tracts, while Prince Drury Park is no longer part of that area that is applicable for CDBG funds, Normandy Park actually is and now eligible for those funding. So it does change, and we have to apply the federal requirements the way that they tell us to. Is that correct?
Yes, and it's tricky because actually the park being in a low moderate income neighborhood doesn't necessarily make it eligible because it's based on the park's service area. So it can be in an LMI census tract and not be eligible because if you look at the surface area, it doesn't work out to 51%.
Yeah.
So that's another way that you get some surprising results compared to what you'd expect. But we have funded projects for every low moderate income qualified park in the township.
Okay. I think we need a motion to close. Oh, we have the motion in a second? Okay, further discussion from the board? Public participation. Mr. Duggar?
My questions were answered. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, sir. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Clerk Melcher, yes. Treasurer Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Wade?
Yes.
Trustee Matuzak?
Yes.
Trustee Kress?
Yes.
Supervisor Gilliam?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item number 9, site development plan approval for proposed gas station redevelopment, Garfield and 18 Mile Road.
This commission has
Thank you,
made-
Mr. Wallace, by the way.
This commission has made review of the site development plan and hereby makes recommendation for approval of the proposed site development plan. This action was approved by unanimous vote, and this matter was petitioned by Michael Baydoun, NSI Construction, Inc. We submit this proposal for consideration and would appreciate advisement of your determination. Sincerely, George Sasson, Secretary for the Clinton Township Planning Commission.
Discussion from the board. Floor is open for a motion.
Make a motion to approve the site plan?
I'll second that.
Are we site planning or are we zoning?
This is a site
plan.
development
This is
plan
the site plan. The
approval.
other one's the zoning.
Okay, so the motion is for the approval of the site plan.
Correct.
Okay, it's been moved by trustee Matuzak, supported by treasurer Aiello. Trustee Kress.
Is the petitioner here?
Yes.
Can you speak to, give us an overview of what you're looking to do? please?
Yes, Michael Baydoun. We're trying actually to demolish the existing building right now, since it's not actually feasible or it's not even worth it. It's like old, and building up a brand new one, removing the tanks, canopies and pumps, and come up with more updated gas station.
Well, yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here as well, and for the commitment to expanding and improving your facility within Clinton Township.
Thank you so much. I remember 1990, I built up the first gas station on Holland Hayes, and now I'm back.
Okay, well, we appreciate that long-term commitment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion in support. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Matuzak?
Yes.
Treasurer Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Wade?
Yes.
Trustee Kress?
Yes.
Supervisor Gilliam?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Clerk Melcher, yes. Motion passes.
Item number 10, proposed rezoning from office services, low-rise, to RT two-family residential.
This commission has made review of the proposed rezoning request from OS1 Office Service Low Rise to RT two-family residential and has voted to recommend approval of this request. This action was approved by unanimous vote, and this matter was petitioned by Carl R. Haas, MPAS PLLC. We submit this proposal for consideration and would appreciate your advisement of your determination. Sincerely, George Sasson, Secretary for the Clinton Township Planning Commission.
Mr. Haas with us this evening? Sir, do you want to, sir, if you could step to the microphone and give us a snapshot into what your plans are.
Actually, my son submitted it, and he's out of town. I'm here as a father. We're requesting the ability to do duplex there on the property. We submitted a picture of what we propose it would look like. I don't know if you got that or not.
Yes, we do. We have the elevations, we have the,
Thank you.
plans that are.
It's been a long time. We've been involved with the property for a long time, and we feel this is the best use and appropriate for the neighborhood and for the community.
Okay. Mr. Thompson, this is a rezoning request, and we believe that the Zoning Board of Appeals approved this because certainly there's a lot of office space, and office is not in high demand, and so this is a use that fits in the area. Is that correct?
Yes, the Planning Commission reviewed it on April 23rd. One thing to note is this property was previously zoned multiple family, and in 2007, it was rezoned to office. Obviously, since then, yes, the office market is pretty much non-existent. You're not going to see any new office developed anytime in the near future, and I think we all know why. This is a less intensive use than the multiple family to the east, and I think it fits in well in that area on that east side of Hayes Road. So.
And can you speak to the density issue?
So the RML district does allow RT two-family homes in it. And even so, it requires 80-foot wide, 9,600 square foot lots. And so this lot far exceeds that, far exceeds the minimum setback requirements. I think at the Planning Commission meeting, there was some concern from a couple of the condominium owners to the immediate east about setbacks. In essence, what this will look like to them is another home, just like the other homes on Hayes. And there's a minimum 35-foot setback. Given how deep this lot is, this structure won't be even that close at all to those homes. And so it really should not have, from a density standpoint, any impact on any of the surrounding properties at all.
Floor is open for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve. It's a beautiful development.
I'll second that.
Okay, moved by Clerk Meltzer, supported by Treasurer Aiello. Any further discussion? Roll call, please, Ms. Meltzer.
Clerk Meltzer, yes. Treasurer Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Wade?
Yes.
Trustee Matuzak?
Yes.
Trustee Kress?
Yes.
Supervisor Gilliam?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Sir, thank you for being here on behalf of your project and your son's project, whatever it may be.
Thank you for your consideration.
Yep, thank you.
You're welcome.
Brings us to item number 11, request for work scope change and project award, Beaconsfield from Gainan to Williamson, and Little Mac from Coleman to Williamson, water main replacements.
Dear board members, schedules for recently selected and approved road projects have necessitated several budgeted water main replacements to be placed on an accelerated timeline to meet asset management goals. The bid award for the Little Mac Water Main Replacement Project South Nunley to 15 Mile CL 25-012 was approved at the April 27, 2026 Township Board meeting. Another budgeted project, Little Mac Gainan to Williamson and Beaconsfield Coleman to Williamson, is now fully designed. When reviewing the bid results from the recently awarded Little Mac project, we found those unit prices to be favorable to consider for the Little Mac Beaconsfield project. AEW initially reviewed pricing from the contractor working on the Nicky Street Water Main project. Those as bid unit prices were found to be competitive. However, we received feedback from their team that an adjustment to the pipe installation prices would need to be applied for this additional work. Under these circumstances, the lowest amount is the recently awarded contractor for the Little Mac water main replacement, which is FDM Contracting, Inc. They have the lowest computed project amount of $1,279,901.82. A comparison of the recently bid unit prices of the other three lowest bid contractors and the aforementioned Nicky Water Main Replacement contractor is enclosed with this letter. Considerations for proceeding with this scope change under these circumstances are as follows. The price comparison reflects current market conditions with bid results received approximately 2.5 weeks ago. The scope of work and project size are similar, where the majority of the water main installations will be done by horizontal directional drilling. The contractor for the Little Mac water main replacement South Nunley to 15 Mile Road has agreed to hold all of their unit prices for this project. The amount is approximately $300,000 under the engineer's estimate and previously established budgeted project amount. Since projects will be going concurrently, there are no mobilization costs that would otherwise be incorporated on a project that is bid out. Installing the water main ahead of the paving contractor's work meets infrastructure asset management goals identified in the strategic plan. Cooperation with MCDR reinforces continued multi-jurisdictional coordination on publicly funded projects. Excuse me. Given the size of this project and being its own budgeted project, a separate construction contract that will include the same contractual obligations along with the needed bonds and insurance documents will be prepared and executed for this work. The construction costs associated with this project are $1,279,901.82. Since this is a work scope change and an award of a construction contract, it is incumbent to notify the Township Board of these changes and get approval on proceeding with this work using recently competitively bid unit prices with noted time constraints. Based on the conditions noted above, we recommend that the Township Board approves the contract award of this project to FDM Contracting, Inc., located at 49156 Van Dyke Avenue, Shelby Township, Michigan 48317, for the projected total of $1,279,901.82, with a total project budget of $1,501,324.83. AEW will be at the meeting May 11th, 2026 board meeting to address any questions related to this project award. Sincerely, Scott Chabot, Senior Project Manager with AEW.
Mr. Chabot?
Good evening.
Thank you. So, having met with you earlier in the week on this, I want to make sure that I'm understanding this correctly. So, we currently have a contractor working on the Nicky water main replacement, right?
That is correct.
Okay. We approved 2 road projects, one on Little Mac and one on Beaconsfield. And the Department of Roads wants to start on those projects right away.
Pretty much like July.
June, July.
June and July.
And so, given asset management factors here, which is if we're doing the road, we should be doing the water main at the same time if it's within the schedule of the next, 1 to 4 years at least, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And so since we have a contractor there, basically we asked them to see if they would bid on this and hold their price.
Now, yes, see if they could do the work, meet those timelines, and hold their unit prices, and also, waive any mobilization costs because they're going to be in the same area.
Because they're already there.
Correct.
We're going to save a little bit of money because already in the area, already doing work, already approved through a bid process, right?
Yes.
When you say hold the unit pricing, help me understand that dynamic.
So
the unit pricing is, those tend to go up the further you get into the contract season, right?
Well, that and market conditions, yes. And given the tight timeline, looking at bidding it out, there's always the chance that they're going to put a premium on that as well. And also, just being that they're the similar scope of work that they're doing with the directional drilling. So I think we're comparing apples to apples here when we're looking at those prices.
Okay. So, but this does request a waiver of the bid policy?
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. Thank you. Questions other from the board? Trustee Wade.
I may not be reading this right, but the area where it says fire hydrants, it says 5. Does that mean we're getting 5 new fire hydrants?
If they're fire hydrant assemblies, yes, they'll be removed and replaced.
So would it be fair to say the ones there that they have now, they wouldn't be operable, or?
The existing ones?
Yeah.
They're put in back in the 50s and 60s, so they're,
Okay.
they've
Yeah.
reached their useful life. And normally when we do the replacement projects, we get everything upgraded or up to date.
Mr.
And
Gilliam? They are operable, but they're old and reaching their end. I don't
Okay.
want you to think that we have hydrants out there. If they're not operable, they are properly marked, but they are operable. They're just reaching their end of life.
Okay. And then I see the one unit price is 7,800, and then the other one's 11,000. Is it the same fire hydrant?
Yes.
They just gave us a much higher bid.
They just give different unit, as a unit price bid, they're going to allocate, certain prices to those pay items, which,
Okay. I mean, if it's the same fire hydrant, it just seems like a, I mean, I've never
one
purchased a fire-
contractor's cost to do it is different than the others, and how they, some also factor in some of their profit and whatever on each
Okay.
specific pay item on a unit price contract.
Okay, thank you.
Further discussion? Trustee Kress.
So you're saying I understand the perceived benefits of somebody there, but you're saying that there isn't sufficient time for our customary bid process?
Well, in this particular case, we looked at the timing was one of them, and looking at just the scoping, and when we finally got the information from the Department of Roads, and also taking a close look at these unit prices and the value, if you want to call it, from the recent bid that we did get from the low bidder was I think the biggest consideration to at least look at this approach.
All right, thank you.
Further discussion? We need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Motion to waive the bid process and approve the project as presented?
Correct.
Okay. Moved. And is there support?
I'll second that.
Supported by Clerk Meltzer. Any further discussion from the board? Public? Roll call, please, Ms. Meltzer.
Treasurer Aiello?
Yes.
Clerk Mutzer, yes. Trustee Wade?
Yes.
Trustee Matuzak?
Yes.
Trustee Kress?
No.
Supervisor Gilliam?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay. That brings us to item number 12, participation in the Aqueous Film Forming Foams Product Liability Litigation, otherwise known as PFAS.
Dear Board, our township has been approached regarding participation in a potential class action lawsuit involving PFAS, per and polyfluoroalkyl substance contamination. I always wondered what that acronym stood for. Now I know. PFAS are a large group of synthetic chemicals used since the 1940s in products designed to resist heat, water, oil, and corrosion. PFAS can have both a negative environmental and health impact. The proposed class action would allow us to join other municipalities seeking compensation for PFAS-related impacts. Participation could help offset or recover costs associated with testing, assessment, and remediation should those costs be incurred. We are not aware of any PFAS contamination in Clinton Township at this time. However, we have not yet conducted a detailed inquiry of the appropriate state and federal agencies. In addition to direct risk, Clinton Township does have the 3 branches of the Clinton River running through it, which would mean contamination elsewhere could impact our community. If the board is interested, we recommend engaging counsel as outlined in the attached memo, agreeing to participate by the May 22nd deadline, and instructing DPS to investigate whether any agencies have identified PFAS problems in our community. Respectfully, Paul Gilliam, Supervisor.
Okay. So, Ms. Bednar, as the letter stated, we don't specifically have contamination that we are aware of. But given the fact that this is a municipal jurisdictional lawsuit, this, in a sense, preserves the township's rights, does it not?
I believe so. I'd have to go to Mrs. McGrail on that.
Okay.
I will say that based on the state information, we do not know of any sites in Clinton Township, but my staff is not qualified to identify this. In the letter, it does say Clinton Township DPS would go and investigate whether agencies, we are not qualified to be able to do such a thing.
Ms. McGrail, you want to shed some light on this issue? You might want to speak in the microphone.
Apologize. Yes, we've been bombarded by several attorneys that are doing this work and asking us to join this litigation. So I did some investigation into what law firms I felt were more premier and would represent the township's best interests, and came to the conclusion that I thought this was the best firm. It does not cost us anything to join this litigation, but we could recoup some money from it.
Okay. Deputy Supervisor O'Leary. I saw you get up in the audience there, and I know you were kind of running point on this, and so, shed some light on the overall issue.
Yeah, this feels an awful lot like the opioid litigation you folks elected to join in on, where you select a lawyer, and in the end, the courts kind of consolidate the cases, and it all kind of flows down through multiple layers of lawyers, but in the end, you wind up paying, I think it's a third of whatever you get, if you get anything. So you're not out of anything out of pocket. Any class action lawsuit's a bit of a crapshoot, right? And what you don't know is what's really out there. And you may not know of something for 10 years, and then it may arise, right? Because the things that contribute to PFAS are all over the place in our community. We have railroad ties. Those are all coated in a PFAS material. Hamburger wrappers, cleaning supplies, foam for firefighting, all these things contain PFAS. So it's possible we could discover something in the future, failure to participate in the suit, and then finding something later would, we'd second guess ourselves, right? So that's the reason that the supervisor is bringing this to your attention.
Trustee Kress.
Can I ask the fire chief a question, please? To my recollection, within the last year, there was a PFAS discharge of some sort. Was it in the spillway?
I believe you're talking about the call maybe in Mount Clemens. Is that the call you're referring to?
Yes. Did they ever find out the source of that? And is it Clinton Township?
It was not located in Clinton Township. We were called as an assist of nature to assist a local community.
Okay. Did they ever replace our booms?
That is still a work in progress. We've tried to get a best practice. That is a very difficult lift, and we're trying to get that remedied.
Okay. If there's any way we can help, please let us know.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay. Trustee Matusek.
Like the opioid settlement, I remember when we were all debating joining the opioid settlement or not. In my case, it was at the county level. And one thing I learned is if you join early, you get a bigger percentage should there ever be a settlement. So I'm in favor of joining early. It doesn't cost us anything. We may get something, we may not get something, and we may end up with funds available to do a cleanup should we need one. So I'm like, let's jump in early and get a bigger percentage.
Is that a motion?
That is a motion.
Well,
Okay. Is that motion supported?
I'll support.
Okay. Moved and supported. Clerk Meltzer.
I have a question then, so does Mary. One of the things we did in the opioid settlement, though, was we interviewed attorneys, and we actually voted on what attorneys to utilize. This is a little, I'm just a little taken back at this process. I do appreciate the work that our attorney has done and looking for the right firm to represent us, but we as a board are responsible for that, and I haven't had any background on this firm. I wasn't given any information or any alternatives, and so that part of this whole process is concerning for me. I guess I'd like to hear why, because the opioid settlement analogy was brought forward, I'm going to use that to argue why we wouldn't do the same thing for this particular lawsuit.
And
I said Mary, too. We had to hear.
I'm sorry, but I'll just mention this. So The opioid, we knew we had exposure. We knew we had cost. We knew that this was impacting our community. In this case, we don't know whether it's impacting our community or not. And so we really left it up to Ms. McGrail to say, advise us on this issue and make a recommendation to the board. I'll turn it over to Ms. McGrail
Just,
to
what were
elaborate
our
onto
costs
that.
for the opioid? We didn't have costs for.
No costs.
Yeah, we didn't.
No, I'm saying that we know the opioid issue was impacting our community.
Yeah.
And we have cost, like regular cost in responding to those instances where people, we've had police response, we've had fire response, we've had emergency medical response. So those are the costs that I'm referring to. Ms. McGrail.
So there are very few firms actually doing this work, and this firm happens to be the one that appears that most municipalities are joining. I will say that there is a deadline to join this litigation of May 22nd. So if we don't move today, we will not be able to join the litigation.
And if you could elaborate on the firm as to why you made the recommendation.
I've worked with a gentleman at a prior firm. We were partners together. He does some municipal work, and he's developed a relationship with this firm, and he is highly impressed with this firm and felt that this was the way to go in his opinion. And he gave me that recommendation, even though he's not making anything off of that recommendation whatsoever.
Are you making anything off of this recommendation?
None.
Okay.
Ms. Bednar.
So I don't see an issue with joining, but again, that statement of instructing DPS to investigate whether we have any agencies have identified PFAS. I mean, I know the state hasn't, but my staff is definitely, they're not, I mean, I just learned from Mr. O'Leary that PFAS are in railroad, so I didn't know, you know, we don't have, I'm worried that this is gonna fall on DPS, and we do not have, I mean, this is a expertise, trained expertise, and we don't have that.
Yeah, I think in a general sense, Ms. Bednar, it's advise us to the level that you can, and then we'll have to, dig deeper if we see that there might be something there. We'll take our cues from the advice of the attorneys that we hire, and then they can help us craft those recommendations. But your general knowledge of engineering and environmental regulations is probably at a level higher than most of us.
I agree, but again, it says investigating whether any agencies have been identified. That's already been investigated by the state, and I've seen that, and there is none in Clinton Township.
Is there a suggested wording that you want to?
Well, can assist with any of the, but the investigating is the problem. So assisting in this lawsuit going forward.
I get this as a managing expectations issue, Ms. Bednar, and I can appreciate that. Is there a specific wording of the motion? We have a motion and a support on the floor.
Instead of to invest, well, I think the motion on the floor was just to move forward with this attorney. Nothing
Okay.
about the DPS. It's just in the letter.
Okay.
Well, and yeah, this, I think Ms. Bednar's, I'm sorry, through the chair, I think
Ms.
Ms.
McGrath.
Bednar's concern was what was written in the cover letter. The actual engagement letter is, I believe, the third document. And I'm not, where's your concerning language, Ms. Bednar?
It's on the cover letter. It says instructing DPS to investigate. So they're saying DPS should go investigate. I'm saying instructing DPS to assist in this going forward.
And you're talking the cover letter from the supervisor's office?
Yes, dated May 5th.
Oh, that's not controlling at all. We're just talking about engaging the firm's engagement letter. So that's just a summary that's been provided that is not controlling at all.
Mr. Supervisor, if I could suggest you could adopt that last paragraph as your motion, but scratch out the end instructing DPS forward. And you'd be-
Yeah, I would say it would be a motion to approve the engagement letter as provided.
Motion maker in support? Yes? Agreement?
Yes.
Okay. Trustee Kress.
Along the lines of what Ms. Meltzer said, awarding this to a firm that we have not met, interviewed, and I'm disappointed that none of the members of this firm, this consulting PLLC, took the time to come here to talk about their credentials, qualifications, and why they're the best choice. Blindly hiring a firm, I don't know if the deadline snuck up on us or if we had enough time to look at other attorneys. But not that I doubt what Ms. McGrail says about their competency, but I would like to have been.
But you
involved.
do.
But I do. No, it's they'd be talking about PFAS, which none of us are an expert on. But I'd like to at least have an introduction and some sort of summary of their past experience and why they are the most qualified. So, is there any way we can separate the two? The motion to join and then a motion for the attorney, or we are now at the end of selection process and we have to go with these people.
Ms. McGrail.
No, we cannot join without retaining an attorney to join on our behalf. I will say they're very few and far between, and I think, I don't think because this area has been identified as one of high PFAS possibilities or probabilities, we probably have not been solicited to the extent where there's a higher probability out there. I'm trying to find the address of this firm. I just repeatedly kept hearing other people talk about they're using this firm, they're using this firm. And I believe this is it might be an out-of-state firm, I believe. So, the odds of it coming in and wanting to talk to us are slim to none under those circumstances. As what?
All right, well, let's make
My
the,
apologies.
let's have one meeting, folks. So on this issue, I don't know who the firm is. I turned this over to Ms. McGrail to say, hey, make us a recommendation on this. We're going to do this based upon your experience, quite frankly, because one, I don't think we're a large target. We do not have any knowledge of PFAS contamination, but what we do know is that all three branches of the Clinton River, which is one of the largest watersheds on this side of the Mississippi River, all flows through Clinton Township. So this is about preserving our rights if and when something were to occur. So ultimately, all of these things wind up getting whittled down. Even with the opioid settlement, there were multiple firms, multiple people soliciting our business, and it all got weeded down to one firm that was arguing the case and other firms that were on a board advising that particular one firm. And so I think, this is not an instance of where there's smoke, there's fire, folks. I think this is let's get together and figure out, do we want to join? And yes, it makes sense. We're preserving our rights. And then two, seeking a recommendation from our attorney.
Mr. Supervisor?
Trustee Wade.
If we do join in this class action lawsuit and the group potentially makes some type of settlement and we're not in agreement with what that settlement is, can we pull out or do we have to stick to that agreement with that group?
I can address.
Ms. McGraw.
We, generally speaking, on class action would be able to opt out at that point. And I also want to add that as this litigation continues, if we find we're unhappy with this firm, we could look to see if we have another firm that we'd want to move our business to.
I think they're having trouble hearing you, Ms. McGraw.
Sorry. We could usually opt out of a settlement later on, is what I initially said. And then secondarily, what I said is that if we find we're unhappy with this firm, we could then at that point look to replace them with a different firm.
Mr. Supervisor?
And continuing on that, and maybe I'm getting ahead of myself here, we haven't discovered any contamination yet. However, if there was a settlement and they wanted to piecemeal us some money, would that preclude us if later on down the road we did find a larger contamination from us being able to try to recover money from that?
It could, and that's something we want to consider when deciding to accept any sort of settlement or not.
Okay.
Clerk Meltzer.
Thank you. Could we change, if we decided if there wasn't something that we didn't like about them, but that we just wanted to change, could we do that?
Yes,
Okay.
I see nothing in here.
Okay, so I do want to let you guys know, I don't even know how to pronounce it, Louisa LLC is a New Orleans-based plaintiff's law firm specializing in complex environmental toxic exposure and personal injury litigation, including cases involving defective drugs, medical devices, and maritime law. I also worked prior to becoming involved in the industry I'm in now, worked for a complex litigation, a defense firm that did environmental, and really all of our contracts were out of state. It is a limited, limited practice. I think there still are some in Michigan, but I would agree that that is a very limited area of expertise.
Thank you. Further discussion from the board members? From the public?
Sam Bushel, 18546 Wayland. I can guarantee you that there are PFLAS across the street from my house at Consumer Energy. And there again, if anybody's been reading any of the paper about all the contaminated dirt and the amount of problems it's caused in Detroit and to the state of Michigan and from Northland Mall, you have literally untested dirt coming in nightly and going. They bring it in, they go out, and these are from all different types of locations, which are just where all the poisonous stuff got into the Detroit dirt. And so I am quite sure, 100% sure, because most of the dirt on the berms came from replacement of hazardous material tanks that had lots of insulation on them. I am sure there are PFLAS, and the board literally let them build it directly next to homes, right at their north property line. So I think for sure you've got, I'm sure that's not the only place in Clinton Township with the amount of industry we have, but that's one that I think your common sense will tell you, a company bringing in dirt from God knows where every day in the middle of the night, in the middle of the night is when they deliver it. Then they put it back there in the back, and then a couple days later they might move it out. But that's so as they don't have to send it to a contains fill site. Thank you.
Further public participation? We have a motion and support. Roll call, Ms. Meltzer.
Trustee Matuzak.
Yes.
Trustee King.
Yes.
Trustee Wade.
Yes.
Trustee Kress.
Yes.
Supervisor Gilliam.
Yes.
Treasurer Aiello.
Yes.
Clerk Meltzer, yes. Motion passes.
Okay. Item number 13, request approval to apply for grant funding through the Michigan's Narcotics Teams Task Force.
Members of the Township Board, I'm requesting authorization to apply for funding through the State of Michigan's Narcotics Teams Task Force Grant Program, PA 166 of 2022, administered by MCOLS. This grant provides a one-time $3 million appropriation to support multi-jurisdictional narcotics enforcement efforts. As of the March 3, 2026 update, eligible uses include vehicles, equipment, and training related to narcotics investigations and task force operations. The Clinton Township Police Department is seeking funding for the purchase of one undercover vehicle to support narcotics enforcement activities. Due to the covert nature of narcotics investigations, specific vehicle details are intentionally omitted from this request. The addition of a dedicated undercover vehicle will enhance officer safety and improve the department's ability to conduct surveillance and enforcement operations effectively and discreetly. This is a cost-neutral opportunity for the township. There is no local match requirement associated with this grant program. While the township would assume routine maintenance and equipment costs associated with the vehicle, those expenses are expected to be minimal and manageable within the department's existing operational budget. The proposal was reviewed by the Township Grant Committee, which voted to recommend to the board that we approve the grant. Due to this grant structure, applications being reviewed in the order received, and limited initial funding availability, timely authorization is important. Accordingly, I respectfully request authorization to, number one, submit an application for the PA 166 Narcotics Task Force Grant, And 2, accept and administer grant funds if awarded in accordance with state guidelines. This funding opportunity will strengthen our narcotics enforcement capabilities while leveraging available state resources at no direct acquisition cost to the township. Captain Blake is available to answer any questions the board may have. Respectfully, Chief Susala, Preston Susala, Clinton Township Police Department.
And in addition, board members, we have Captain Capola and Captain Marker here tonight, right?
No, that's Mike
No,
Vasilevsky.
Vasilevsky. Sorry. Okay. I'm sorry I got that wrong. Gentlemen, you have the floor.
Mr. Supervisor, Captain Marker was expected to be in attendance, but he was pulled away at the last minute and always available. Lieutenant Vasilevsky, so pardon his absence. Just wanted to highlight a couple very brief things. This is part of a $3 million appropriation through the state, Michigan Commission on Law Enforcement Standards state grant. Again, I just did want to highlight that it is cost neutral, and we do request that we partake in this grant opportunity for the purchase of a vehicle. Lieutenant Vasilevsky is one of our team leaders in our investigations team. He can make any statements that you guys need answers to, but because this is a little bit of a confidential nature, if there's any specifics that the board may need, Captain Blake, myself, Lieutenant Vasilevsky are always available afterwards if needed.
Well, that's why I got your name wrong. I was trying to throw people off the scent from asking you those hard questions. So.
I'd like to make a motion to support the grant for the vehicle purchase.
I'll second that.
Moved and supported. Any further discussion from the board? Public? Roll call, please.
Please. Okay. Trustee Wade.
Yes.
Trustee Kress.
Yes.
Trustee Matuzak.
Yes.
Supervisor Gilliam.
Yes.
Trustee King.
Yes.
Treasurer Aiello.
Yes.
Clerk Melser, yes. Motion passes.
Thank you.
I owe you one, Lieutenant. Sorry.
Thank you.
All right. And item number 14. Bear with me here. Item number 14, the Community Garden Pilot Program Housing Commission Partnership.
Hello, board members. I'm requesting that the board consider the following action. Requested action is direct the township attorney and appropriate administrative staff as necessary to work with the Clinton Township Housing Commission to develop a proposed agreement for a small-scale community garden pilot program and return the agreement to the Board of Trustees for review and approval. In summary, the proposed pilot program would explore a partnership between Clinton Township and the Clinton Township Housing Commission to establish a small community garden on Housing Commission property. The pilot would be designed to test resident interest, maintenance needs, cost effectiveness, and overall community benefit before any broader program or long-term commitment is considered. Any township financial contribution would be capped at an amount not to exceed $3,000. No township funds would be expended unless and until a final agreement is brought back to the board for approval. Thank you for your consideration. Shannon King, trustee, the Charter Township of Clinton.
Trustee King.
If I may, the Clinton Township Housing Commission will be also matching whatever funds the township puts in as well. So the township puts in $3,000. The Housing Commission will also be matching that $3,000.
Trustee Matuzak.
Who would be doing the planting of this garden?
So we have residents who are looking to be a part of this. We have a young lady who is running one out of her home right now, and she's looking to help expand this and bring this on. And so some of the future work and things of this nature will be done and conducted by the Beautification Conservation Committee. Other residents have expressed interest outside of this resident. So we've got some opportunity to, I think, really grow, no pun intended, but really grow some community investment between a number of different partners around the community who want to see something like this bloom.
I'm a little concerned that we've hit Mother's Day and the window for planting a garden is very,
It's close.
it's getting very
okay.
close. You still got some time, but it's getting, we're talking weeks to get this rolling. We think we can do this? Get an agreement written and
I believe it's very, very feasible for us to be able to move forward. This has already been communicated and worked through on the Housing Commission side, so the Housing Commission itself is ready to action. Once we institute Ms. McGrail, I believe this can get solved pretty quickly, and then it's just a matter of, working into the ground and getting things going.
Thank you.
Okay, I got trustee Wade and clerk Meltzer. Trustee Wade.
The $3,000 or ultimately $6,000, what is that going to be spent on? Like soil, seeds, all that, a combination?
All of those items, yeah, those type of things. So we'd be looking for, wheelbarrows, raised garden beds, those type of things that would be going into the, into the soil to be able to grow the.
And what would be the qualifying factor to who gets the vegetables or whatever grown there? How do they get distributed?
Well, as of right now, this is a pilot program, so we're hoping that we, to Ms. Matusak's point, we can get this off the ground and get it going. So part of this is to really test the mettle of our residents, to make sure that we've got enough participation to get things going and off the ground. But that being said, the goal would be to be able to feed the surrounding community and those in need. So the hope would be that we put out a trading post where we would put in the various produce, other items that was grown, put that out, set that out, and it's come as a as-need basis for our residents who are there. The hope is that at the Housing Commission, we know that's a low-income area for our seniors and some families. That would be our first area that we'd be looking to do to hopefully be able to get this produce and the food out there. But this is open to all Clinton Township residents, and we're looking to get as much participation both from our residents who have some food instability and need some support, as much as we're looking for those to be able to volunteer their time to be able to help get the produce growing and in a good place.
And not to belittle this, but I mean, is this something where you would just stroll over and grab a couple cucumbers and some green onions, or is there going to be a gatekeeper there who says, you were here yesterday, or just take enough for yourself? I mean, how does that? I'm just curious.
No worries. So it's fair question. So we would have a volunteer captain who would be helping not only work with the soil, but also they're making sure that we've got enough workers and what days and what times and things. Those things are being set out. So that's all going to be a specific component. So when the items are ready, whenever those different various produce items are, we set them out on particular days and times, and then we work through those getting out. So they're just not going to be like just kind of out there carefree, so to speak. There'll be specific days and times for those things will be given out, and we'll make sure that the community is aware of those times.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Clerk Meltzer.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Where is this going to be located?
The Clinton Township Housing Commission.
Right, but where?
So there is, next to the community center, adjacent to the garage, we have a shed. Well, I shouldn't say a shed. It's a full-on garage where we have, at least a quarter of that space can be utilized for tools and resources to be locked and stowed for the community garden.
So where's your water source? Because gardens need a lot of water, and it is a lot of work to put a successful garden together. Forget about the harvesting. The harvesting is the easy part by comparison. Is there a water source?
Yes, right next to the garage there.
There's a hose. There is a water.
There's a spigot. Yeah, all that is there on site.
So ideally, this is definitely a great idea. But ideas are, what do they say? How do they say that? The path to hell is paved with great intentions. So it is a lot of work. And I'm just wondering why we as a governmental entity would, I'd almost rather give that $3,000 to gleaners, and they would be able to feed a heck of a lot more people. If this is what this is about, is to feed hungry people, which I'm all for, I'm telling you that's a better resource of use of our money. 3,000, and I get you wanted, this is more than just that. You want to build the community together, and I get all that. Those are all great goals. But I think that government taking a risk of taxpayer money on a chance that this might work, I haven't seen really anything in stone on how this is going to work. I'm not in support of it. I like what you're thinking, but it just doesn't. This doesn't connect all the dots for me, and I wouldn't support it until I could get more information, I guess, as to how this is really going to be cost effective, as you said, and benefit the community. Because I mean, I've grown gardens, I've planted gardens, I have them, and even though I put in a lot of effort and money and time, I don't always even get a good production of, all my work effort. So I'd rather use, if I'm using taxpayer money, I'd rather get a product that I can guarantee that, yes, I went to the taxpayer, I used your money, and this was to help feed the hungry, and that's where it went for. Not on a hope and a prayer that this garden is going to work. And in Michigan, you get a very small window of opportunity to grow anything. So that's my own thing, but you have a heart of gold. I will say that about you, Trustee Kress. But I mean, Trustee King. I got you.
Why is everyone laughing?
It's like that movie Twins.
I'm sorry.
Am I Danny DeVito or are you Danny DeVito?
And I really, it's not because I would never say that about Trustee Kress.
Well, yikes. The hits keep coming.
All in fun, but really, no, I'm sorry, I won't be supporting this.
Trustee King.
Thank you, Ms. Meltzer. I appreciate where you're coming from, and I take nothing personal out of it. I certainly understand what you're saying, and the reason I am looking to do this as a pilot is to not, put a ton of resources into something that we may not get the right amount of volunteers out, right? Because a lot of things sound good. Everybody wants a job until it's time to work, right? So I completely understand that there's certain aspects of this that may not work. But for all the things that could not work, for all those same reasons, there's different reasons why they can work. And I think that this is an opportunity for our community to come together. I think this is an opportunity for us to be able to, really try to bring everybody across and do something different, and really try to bring some pride and be able to continue to hopefully get some investment from individuals that they can see something actually, I hate to use this term again, but bloom in front of their face. The efforts of this township. And I do want to note that when we start talking about responsible use of taxpayer dollars, this is not an attack against everybody on this board. We act as one body, so when there's a majority, things happen. It's the board that does it, that did it. It's not just this particular trustee or this particular clerk or this supervisor. It's everybody. We act as one. That being said, we spent $40,000 on tables and chairs for this board. I'm not saying that we didn't need to be ADA compliant, but I'm pretty certain we could have did it for a cheaper dollar. So if we want to start talking about something where we're acting responsible, we're acting prudent, we're taking into account our taxpayers' dollars, I wish that same thought process was also applied when we said we need new tables and chairs, not for our residents, not for the residents, but for the board members. So not an attack. So I want to do something that's going to go right back to our community, something that our residents can actually sink their shovels into, and something that we can actually, they can see, the benefit from, and hopefully we can continue to invest in.
Can I just ask one thing really quick? I just want to know, can we get a grant for it instead?
Trustee Kress.
Thank you. I believe the old adage, teach a man to fish, or in this case, teach a man or woman to fish, and they can provide for themselves. If just a handful of people get a green thumb or get hooked on it, even if they do it on their own balcony, their own front porch, or something like that, it's a life skill, and it's a good thing. And I think it's money well spent. It's a measly amount, like what Mr. King referred to, the board tables, that's very, very self-serving and disgraceful. And this is for the community, and I think it's a worthwhile cause. Thank you.
Trustee Matusik.
He gets that irritated sound in his voice. Long ago, in the 1980s, when I was a neighborhood organizer in Grand Rapids, I organized a lot of projects. We fought against toxic trains rolling through the city. We fought energy assist. We did a lot of things. The most impactful organizing campaign I engaged in was starting a community garden in a neighborhood that was pretty dysfunctional and digging the plots to plant, having neighbors walk past and say, "What are you doing? How are we doing this?" Getting to know neighbors became a little gathering spot. Did we grow a lot of food? The first year, not so much. The second year, people got better. But it was a very powerful and impactful community building thing. I mean, people would come out in the morning with their coffee, just hang out at the garden. People would come out after dinner to see pulling weeds, doing stuff. It seems like such a small thing compared to some of the other work I did, but that community garden was positive organizing for a community that was pretty dysfunctional. And then we had meetings about what else was happening in the neighborhood and what could we do to, reduce the crime, and the kids needed some playground, and it just rolled. And it all started with a community garden. So I think this is a small amount of money to start this, to see if it works. And we see that example at our own senior center. Their community garden is huge, and it is a center for a lot of the people that attend our senior center. And so, I mean, it seems very hippie-ish, and I was maybe perhaps a bit hippie-ish back in the day. But, the whole thing about getting back to Mother Earth is really important, and it produces really good vibes. So I'm in favor of this, expending this small amount of money. I don't think it's going to be the number of tomatoes or the number of zucchinis, which will be overwhelming. But I think it's a great community building activity. And if we start with that, then we have real discussion with the residents about other things that are important. So.
And I would just add, that was one of the things I was going to mention. About 150 yards from here, we have a community garden at the senior center that we've invested in by putting fencing around it. The year that they put all that effort into it, and people came and stole all of the produce, there wasn't a whole lot of yield, but it was still a great effort. And the gentleman who started that program just passed away, and they did a lot to honor him and to, basically, it was a gelling thing for their community, and I think this is around the same thought, the same guidance, the same type of effort. One of the things I shared with them when they came to appear to apply for the fencing was that it's not just Gleaners that's out there. Gleaners supports a lot of the local food pantries, but we do have a food pantry over at Clintondale as well. And so fresh produce at a pantry is not something that you get all the time. I think this lends considerable value to existing programs, as well as if they're just coming to pick it up right there off the table with the coordinator. So I would be in full support. Do we have a motion and support for the agenda item?
Not yet.
We do?
We do not.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
King.
Second that.
Okay, moved and
Chris.
supported. Further discussion from the board? The public?
I had my hand up for so long because the senior center, we've had figures of the tonnage of stuff that came out of there for the public good in the paper. So we don't have to really guess if people will be able to, might take a little while to start, but it's something that's been very successful. And when you're talking about 3,000 from the township and 3,000 from the Housing Commission, $6,000 has got to be the cheapest thing you've talked about tonight. And it's for the citizens. For God's sakes, get your mind together.
Roll call, please, Ms. Meltzer.
Trustee King.
Yes.
Trustee Kress.
Yes.
Trustee Wade.
Yes.
Trustee Matuzak.
Yes.
Supervisor Gilliam.
Yes.
Treasurer Aiello.
No.
Clerk Meltzer, no. Motion passes.
Item number 15, budget amendment request, CRAMS broadcast equipment purchase.
Dear Board of Trustees, I'm writing to request approval to amend the current fiscal year budget to accommodate the purchase of a new Comcast encoder, which has become a necessary investment to maintain our communication capabilities. This piece of equipment is critical to our ability to broadcast public meetings, community programming, and important public service announcements to residents through our channels on Comcast. The current equipment has reached the end of its useful life, and this purchase will ensure that we can continue to provide consistent, high-quality broadcasts. Radiant Communications is the only provider of this specific piece of equipment. Due to the unplanned nature of this request, funding for this purchase was not included in the original capital outlay budget. As such, we are requesting a budget amendment to proceed with the replacement. We respectfully request the board's approval to amend the budget to allow for this purchase. This investment will support our ongoing commitment to clear, accessible communication with our residents. Vendor Radiant Communications Corp. at 5001 Hadley Road, South Plainfield, New Jersey, 07080. Items 1 HD/SD encoder, 2 HDMI converters, and phone support. Total cost $4,956. Sincerely, Matt December, Director for Community Relations and Media Services.
So the new cheapest thing that we've done tonight. Matt December is in the audience. I'd ask him to come forward. Questions from the board? Matt, you want to add anything before?
No, it's just
questions?
the piece of equipment we're replacing, I think is likely probably 30 years old at this point. I think that was probably put in when the station was originally put in back in the mid-90s, I believe, so long before I was here. It is, we've had complaints about the quality of the picture. We are not very happy with the quality of the picture, and part of that is just the piece of equipment we use to transmit to Comcast is really aged out. And so this is a sole source situation. Radiant is kind of the ecosystem that Comcast works in. They have the equipment on their end ready to go. We just need to purchase this, get it in hand, and then they'll come help us install it. They'll do all the programming, help us install it, help us run the cable through the ceiling, and they cover that cost. Comcast does. So we think it'll make a considerable difference on the quality of the picture. It'll be as close to HD as we can get until they decide to allow us to broadcast in high definition, hopefully someday soon.
I'd like to make a motion for approval of the new encoder as stated for the price here listed.
Is there support?
I'll support.
Trustee King supports. Trustee Kress.
I think you answered my question. You said this is a sole source.
Yes, sir.
Item. It's off the shelf, and these are the only people that have it.
Yes, sir. Yep. Yeah. So this is who Comcast uses for this particular part of their broadcast setup. So they have a matching piece at the head end, and then they will sync it up to the piece that we buy, and then they essentially will communicate to each other over the internet, and that's how we through the fiber line that we have. And so yeah, this is really the only solution for this.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Also compatible with the other cable mediums and streaming.
So essentially, this sits. A few years ago, the board purchased us some Cablecast equipment. So really, not to get too in the weeds, but the workflow is we have a cablecast machine which sends a signal out to a couple of other boxes. So it sends it to a box that goes to WOW, it sends it to a box that goes to AT&T, and now it's going to send it, if this gets approved, to this Radiant box, which sends to Comcast. And then, so we have a box for each of our service providers. And so at this point, the Comcast signal, the picture is the worst of the three that we're broadcasting to. So this is, it really is, should be updated.
Any further questions from the board? Public?
Just real quick, if you take care of, pennies, dollars take care of themselves, can we send them a check and save $144 on a credit card? Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is certainly an option. I just put that out there in case, I just wanted to make sure all the costs were there in case we did decide to purchase it via credit card, but we certainly can cut them a check and, yes, save the $144. That's not an issue.
Preferred method, if you could talk to finance?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Further discussion?
Actually, he just has to do a early release on that check, so, in a check form, so you go to Treasury.
Okay.
Roll call, please.
Treasurer Ayala.
Yes.
Trustee King.
Yes.
Trustee Wade.
Yes.
Trustee Matuzak.
Yes.
Trustee Kress.
Yes.
Supervisor Gillaham.
Yes.
Clerk Melcher, yes. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay. Item number 16, adoption of public comment policy.
Dear board members, enclosed, please find the draft resolution for adoption of a public comment policy to govern public comments at the Charter Township of Clinton Board of Trustees meetings. Public participation is of the utmost importance to the township and is welcomed in an orderly, efficient manner that recognizes that we are conducting a business meeting while protecting First Amendment rights. The adoption of this public comment policy would allow for public comment on agenda items at the beginning of the meeting as well as open public comment on any topic at the end of the meeting. During public hearings, we would continue to receive comments on the specific hearing item in addition to the established public comment periods at the beginning and end of the meeting. Thank you for your time and consideration in this matter. Sincerely, Paul Gillaham, Supervisor.
Questions from the board? Trustee Kress.
I guess my question would be, what's broken? We've been doing this for probably 40 or 50 years. It gives our residents, taxpayers, and constituents a voice. A lot of times when we get on a topic down the agenda and it skews a different direction that wasn't anticipated. So commenting at the beginning wouldn't address the direction it took. And talking at the end of the meeting would be pointless because we will have already voted on it. So being that we're a deliberative body, I think that any input from our board members or from our constituents, taxpayers, and citizens is welcome in our form of government. And I think it should stay the way it is. Thank you.
Further comment from the board? Trustee, Clerk Meltzer.
Thank you. Yeah, and again, as I said in previous, when this was on the agenda, we serve, the people, and I think that the fact that they may want to weigh in on what it is we're doing, we get direction from them. I mean, I think it's important, not on everything. Obviously, we know a lot about what we're talking. It doesn't mean that we, need their support or on our decision-making, but we do need their input on whether or not this is the right direction we should be moving in or not. And I think that the public does bring forward good points of view, and their right to say so, I think, is something that should be protected and honored and encouraged. And so I am not in support of this, as I was not in support previously.
Further comments, questions? Trustee King.
I'd like to offer an amendment.
Well, we need a motion on the floor first,
No.
where you can amend it.
No? All right.
I'll move adoption. Is there support?
I'll support, just to
Okay.
hear what's going on.
Trustee King for the purposes of an amendment.
Thank you.
Wait, who seconded it?
Trustee Matuzak.
Who adopted? I'm sorry.
I moved it, trustee
Oh,
Matuzak
you-
supported.
Okay.
Thank you. I believe in efficiency and that we are, but I also believe it's important that we create some safeguards for our residents. And so I've thought through 4 things that I'd like to see happen with this. And so the first one being that I'd like to have residents be able to sign up and speak until the close of public comment. So instead of and I can give this to Ms. McGrail here to be clear when she writes this up, if it is the will of the board to move forward with this amendment, but that they have the opportunity to the close of the public comment to be able to sign up to be able to speak, as opposed to just at the start of the meeting and then they can't move further after the start. So in case someone's late, for whatever reasons, I want to make sure they're able to speak. Secondly.
Oh, wait. So Trustee King, there was a question. Do you want to entertain a question or do you want to keep going?
I'd like to keep going, then I can speak to the question. But certainly will.
Okay.
Secondly, final public comment period would allow for any township-related matter. So any of the information that was discussed prior during the meeting in an agenda, I would hope that they would be able to discuss that there as well at the final comment area. I would want that to be part of this. Third, I would like this policy to return back to this board for review in 120 days. So that we have an opportunity to say, is this really working? Is this not working? For our residents and for ourselves. And then lastly, all written questions I'd like to be provided to the board, be part of the board packet, to make sure that we have whether they be questions or comments, that they be provided to the board prior to the meeting and be part of the board packet. That was my 4 items that I wanted to make sure were included. And I believe there was a question. Do you mind, Chair? Yes.
Trustee Matuzik.
The first thing you said, are you talking about, on our little thing, public comment, the first public comment period?
So actually I'm talking onto the second public comment period, because if somebody's late, for example, at the start of our meeting, and they're running late, they're coming from work, they're doing whatever. I want them to be able to add, be able to be a part of this meeting at the second part of the public comment, as opposed to us saying, well, you weren't here at the beginning, you weren't able to submit your comment card, so now you're not able to be a part of the last portion of the public comment. I want to make sure that we ensure that everybody who comes can speak.
We
do
do
that
currently let anybody fill
Yeah.
out a public comment card at any time. And I don't think this change impacts that.
I just wanted to be a part of it. So if that's going to continue, I just would want to make sure that it's
Yeah,
part
I mean, the second comment period, people can talk about anything they want.
Well, related to township
Well,
issues.
yeah, but I mean, I think that covers, so I was a little confused about that. The third one about people getting people's questions in the board packet, if they're not filling out
That
the
was the fourth one.
questions till they get here.
120-day review was the third one.
Oh, the third, then whatever, the one about
Fourth.
getting the questions in.
If someone submits something prior to, so say, for example, I don't know, just a resident has an issue with, let's just say they had an issue about the community garden tonight being on the agenda, they wanted to make a comment on that, and they submitted that prior to us. I want to make sure that that gets distributed and made available to everyone on the board.
Oh, I see, okay. I was like confused about people submitting comments at the end of the meeting, that how would it get in our packet? Okay.
No, I got you.
So who's responsible to do that? What if it goes to you? Are you going to send it to the board?
Yes. If it came to me, yes, but I
But
mean,
we're going to see it we're going to read something at the board meeting for the first time?
say that once more, I'm sorry.
So you're saying if you get a written document or some request or something that somebody wants stated at the board meeting, we're not going to be able, we're going to have to
I think it's
read
distributed.
it before,
No,
during the meeting, or what?
I think
When
he's
we-
saying that it's distributed, but I don't want to speak for him, so.
That's correct. I just want to make sure that it's distributed to everybody on this board and to make sure that it's either part of their packet, that we have had that opportunity to be able to get it when it comes in prior to the meeting. So if someone
But is
has.
there action to it or no?
There would be no necessary action other than us as a board member, we're reviewing that information from our resident or
Why
whoever
don't you
is
just
sending it.
email it to us in our email then? Why do you have to bring it to the board? There's no action. I mean, I do that anyway. Anytime we get letters, especially if they're, you know, yeah, any letters that we get that are addressed to, and I'm assuming it's blind copied to you guys, but I never act on that. I always, you know, scan it to the computer and email it to you guys. So just to make sure you all have it.
I appreciate what you're saying, Ms. Meltzer. I just want to make sure that it is part of this draft that we are going to approve. I want to make sure that we get that amendment as a protection for our residents, that if they were to submit something to us as a question or a comment prior to the meeting, that we would have an opportunity to be able to have that distributed against all of us. Doesn't necessarily mean that we're all going to make an action in that moment, just as if when people were making public comment, doesn't mean that we're making an action on the public comments that they're making, other than we're just receiving it, and then hopefully we're taking that into an account in whatever decisions that we're making. I just want to make sure that it's there so that we're not taking for granted, and then all of a sudden, you know how it is sometimes, right? We get into a routine, and then somebody wants to take advantage of something because it's convenient and it's not in our clause, and then everybody starts acting brand new to what was previously done. So I just want to make sure that we've got these safeguards in for our residents. That's all. If it's not accepted, or individuals don't think this is prudent, then obviously it can not be accepted by the board.
Ms. McGrail,
Through the chairperson, I do have.
into the microphone, ma'am.
I do have concerns about members just emailing viewpoints from people who have submitted it, because I makes me fearful for the day that you send something off and somebody else then responds all to that and says, yeah, I agree, they shouldn't do that. And now we have an Open Meetings Act violation. So I think that while your intent is good, I think we should look about how we would implement that. Maybe it comes from a non-board member, blind copied, or some manner that it's not an open invitation for discourse outside of a meeting.
For clarification, Mr. Supervisor, I never ask anybody to weigh in on it. I just send it out. Just that was received today in the mail. I never ask anybody to weigh in on anything. And I don't give an opinion either. I just send it to everybody.
I would suggest that these are items that the policy currently already accounts for, but I have no problem with codifying them in the actual language at the discretion of Ms. McGrail, who's our attorney on these things. So I would support the amendment.
Thank you.
Trustee Wade.
I can't support this. I think we're making this process way more complicated than it needs to be. I think we should just keep it simple. And we discuss things, and I'm just going to paraphrase the example that Mr. King used about the garden. He was able to clarify things, and he did a good job of it, about what the money was going to be used for, how people were going to receive the product. And getting those answers allows somebody out here maybe to develop another question that they didn't have ahead of time. So asking somebody to submit questions prior to the meeting when they don't know the content of everything, I don't think is fair. And I think that we have a good interactive process. And if it takes us a little longer to go through a board meeting, then it's going to take us a little longer to go through a board meeting. But I do think people should have the ability to, I'll call it interacting with the board.
Deputy Supervisor O'Leary? if I could call you to the microphone, please. I know that you did a lot of research on the implementation of this policy and sent a lot of information out to the board, so I just want to do some clarifying questions.
Sure.
You polled all of the communities within Macomb County and found that this is the prevailing way. So the way it's proposed is the prevailing way that this is done in most municipalities within Macomb County. Is that correct?
That's true. Almost 2/3 of the towns in Macomb County and the county itself does a public comment at the beginning of the meeting for agenda items so that people can speak and inform you as to their thoughts before you vote. And then a public comment at the end of the meeting for any item. It could be agenda items. It could be, they could sit there and sing the Star Spangled Banner for 3 minutes if they want to.
Right.
And most of them look like they had 3-minute limits on those public comments. Because again, one of the things that we misunderstand sometimes in the heat of all the stuff we go through is everyone thinks that this is a debate between the public and the board. The public is not part of the debate. The public shares with you their thoughts. This is a representative republic. You were elected to bring your skills to the table, and you are elected to debate. It is not appropriate for the public and the board to debate. That's one of the reasons why you don't allow the back and forth between board members and the public, right?
I've tried to limit that.
You've tried to limit it. It doesn't always work.
Severely.
The MTA has weighed in at my request, their attorney, and that's how they feel. In fact, they feel that really one public comment at the beginning of the meeting is all that's appropriate. And their logic is because the public has many opportunities to communicate with this board their feelings, public comment being just the very last one before you vote. They can email you, they can call you, they can set up an appointment and come see you. Lord knows they can contact you on social media and the entire rest of the world too. The public has a lot of opportunity to communicate with you, and they do, and they should. And you should consider those opinions. But in the end, the debate is not between you and the public. The debate, and MTA backs this up, is amongst you as the elected board members. And you have to remember, you are not stifling the public. They have plenty of opportunity to hear from you. But if you have 100 people show up to a meeting, there's still 100,900 people that aren't here. And you can't take the opinion of just the people that show up as the public's opinion. That's just the opinion of the people that show up. So
when you say representative republic, what you mean is that there are people that run for office, and they're the folks that are charged with the decision-making for the community, and getting public input is an important part of that process. In fact, it's codified in law that we have to seek public comment. We have to allow for it. But allowing for it on each agenda item is not something that is required, and in fact is not the best practice recommended.
Whenever you establish, you're absolutely right. Whenever you establish limits, there's always an outcry that you're stifling the public. Well, take it to an extreme. Every member of the public gets an hour. You have 101,000 people. They have 101,000 hours per meeting just for public comment. You always have to put it in perspective and say your job, and you're right to be concerned about what the public thinks on this. You're not stifling them. In fact, I think Trustee King just mentioned that he wants to make sure that correspondence is treated as public comment in a way too, so that you're not losing sight of those emails and stuff that come in. When I was in Washington, you never want to follow my example in running a meeting, but when I was in Washington, we had a point of the agenda that said correspondence from the public. And our clerk, she wouldn't read every item word for word, but she would say, we have a letter from the so-and-so family objecting to this particular proposal. We have a letter from this family supporting this other proposal. She would read, just summarize those for the board at every meeting, and the board would get copies of those things.
I was just letting you know that was at 3 minutes, and he is not part of this board. He is part of the public.
I have actually.
Not 3 minutes.
I have called upon him as a member of the township staff. To speak on this issue. He is not just a member of the public. He is he is a member of the staff.
I'm a subject matter expert that was called to testify.
Generally, as long as they want, especially when we're asking questions of them. This is a back and forth with the public. We are prevented from doing a back and forth with the public. So if the public gets up there and states false information, we can't really even respond to it. And so that's part of the reason why I think this policy makes sense, why it's implemented in most communities, and why it is determined to be the best practice by the experts. So thank you, Mr. O'Leary. Trustee Kress.
We are the largest township in Michigan, and I don't think that we should be following smaller municipalities, smaller whatever. I think that our status as the largest and longstanding township means something. I'm to direct this question to the chair, and I mentioned it earlier. What's broken with the current system?
You have the floor, Trustee Kress.
Okay. So I'll go on to say that there's nothing wrong with the current system. Dan O'Leary said about people. People show up when they're passionate about something. If they see something on the agenda that affects them and they want to come express their opinions and their viewpoints on a particular agenda item, given that they pay a high level of taxes, and given that we control the purse strings, I think that it's important that they have the opportunity to comment. And it doesn't really, it's not going to shorten the meeting because you're going to have a lot of frustrated people at the end, and they're going to talk at length. And when they talk, it's too late. We've already voted on it, and as a community, and we should be servicing our taxpayers. And since you've been in office, you've already restricted the time down to 3 minutes. And I think that anybody that votes in favor of this, who took an oath for this office, is violating their oath because you're restricting First Amendment rights for our citizens. Thank you.
Public participation.
Anybody who actually read this entire proposal will note that 6 of you have next to nothing to do with this meeting anymore, because the supervisor can hold people to 3 minutes, or he can let anybody he wants, anybody he chooses, any of his friends that come in, he can let them talk at length, at will, whatever they want. And nobody will be able to set an alarm again to say that, because it's right in there, it's stated in there. The supervisor can allow people to speak more. He also can cut people off. I think that the attorney may have an opinion as to how it is that part of that meets the Open Meetings Act. The fact that he can cut off, he can change. There are no rules for the citizens. The citizens now are really tongue-tied. Anybody that votes for this hopefully will have the same thing that happened in Oakland County, where they're going to recall people over the flock system. But over and above that, the rest of this board, you have no input. Also, this also takes away, right now, when somebody submits their public comment card, they can put a question on that is supposed to be answered within 2 weeks. And of course, you know that this has not been, I've let you know even today, that I've got some from 4 weeks ago and 2 weeks ago have not been answered. And it's questions that are important to the whole entire board. But now, the supervisor in this proposal that you're looking at tonight, the supervisor at this point in time, there's no, he'll decide if and when any of these things get answered. The 6 of you are literally useless under this proposal, because the public has no right to get answered any question. Right now, 7 of you are responsible for these questions being answered. This gets approved, and the supervisor will he'll dictate who gets to talk, who gets cut off, who gets a question answered. Any questions that are embarrassing won't get answered. And this is, the fact that this thing points out at the beginning, public participation is so important to you all. This is cutting off people, and you know it. So any of the 6 of you that vote along with this, and there again, you've got a person that made the motion and a person that supported it, that they're very, politically inclined and probably would want the same people to get, 25 minutes to talk instead of 3. And they would love to see certain people get cut off. But I don't think that meets the law. I think that literally anybody that votes for this should actually, hopefully the group that is thinking of some recalls, they're going to do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Dana Duggar, 37852 Suburban, the best community in this township. This proposal is not about efficiency. It is about control. And just because everybody's doing it is not a good reason to do anything. Speaking to an issue before you have heard all of the discussion on the issue is like diving into a pool and not knowing how deep it is. As Paul Harvey would say, we need the rest of the story before we can, with good education, speak to a subject. Would the board be willing to vote on items that only they have the written document that was presented? No discussion? You vote only on what's put in front of you in print? Would you think that to be efficient? Probably would if you're talking efficiency. This is not efficiency. This is about control. Finally, the speaking at the end, as I sent you all the memo, speaking at the end is like wetting yourself wearing dark trousers. It may give you a warm feeling, but no one notices. It's absolutely useless. I implore this board to deep six this proposal. This is not Iran or some Iron Curtain country. This is the United States of America. And citing examples of everybody's doing it, and we should too, that is pitiful.
There's a cliff over there.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Leonella Ware, 35695 Blairmore. I'm mad that I have to come up here because it looks like a dog chewed my hair. But anyways, I don't understand. If it's not broke, don't fix it. And basically, there's only 3 or 4 of us that talk all the time. So what are we doing wrong? And we need to hear. I agree with everything Trustee Kress said, that you can't talk about something that you don't know anything about. I mean, how am I supposed to know what you guys are talking about? And I still say, if you had it the way you want to have it, the firemen would have an extra $25,000 for their overtime, because I was talking about that, and some of the board members changed their mind and voted for their overtime. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I had a supervisor that if you said, like he said that the other ones are doing it, if you would say, that's the way it's always been done, she would really nail you to the wall and say, well, things can change. You don't have to do it just because that's the way other people do it. And they also say, when people are doing the wrong thing, don't do what others do, do what's right. Thank you.
Thank you. In regards to the amendments offered by Trustee Kress as the motion maker, I would accept those as friendly amendments. So the
King.
supporter, excuse me, Trustee King, now I'm doing it. So the amendments offered by Trustee King, I would support as a friendly amendment, and I would need the second to agree to that.
I'm thinking, this is complicated. I think the amendments complicate this more than it is. So I'm not accepting it as a friendly amendment. If Mr. King would like to make an actual amendment and get a second for it, he's welcome to do that, but I'm not accepting it. I think what you're trying to do is already covered.
Well,
Can we call the question?
we have had that discussion, and I believe they're already covered, but with the exception of the 120-day review.
I like the 120-day review, but.
I called the questions.
Trustee King?
I'll accept.
Okay. So 120-day review as a friendly amendment?
That's fine.
Okay. Any further discussion from the board?
That's the only one, that of those 3 proposals, you're saying the friendly amendment is a 120-day review?
That is accurate.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Supervisor?
Trustee Matusik.
I mean, I'll speak to this. I was shocked when I got here from the county commission that people could speak on every single item. We are the largest township, but most large organizations operate with a comment section at the beginning and a comment section at the end. I think there are plenty of opportunities for the public to speak, to contact us. Lord knows I get lots of emails, lots of calls, lots of other things. I think changing this does streamline. I don't think it prohibits public participation, but I'm also going to tell you, this is not a hill I'm going to die on. I want to move to the next agenda item, which is far more important than this one is. People talk about First Amendment rights. This is not about First Amendment rights. This is trying to make this process more direct. So I supported this. I'm going to vote against it because I don't think there's the votes to pass it, and I'm tired of moving on. I want to move on. I'm done with this debate. I think it's a silly debate that people are engaged in to gain political points, and I'm not willing to play with that anymore. I think we should adopt this. I'm in favor of adopting this, but I think this discussion has gone off the rails, and I'm not going to deal with it anymore.
Trustee Wade.
I would just like to add one thing, that the argument that other people do it that way, this is our community. We have a very unique way of doing things. Our predecessors did it. It worked fine. And I don't know why we need to change it. I respect the fact that it's trying to be streamlined, but I just can't accept the changes because I think what we have works. No.
Roll call, please.
Okay, so just for clarification, what we're voting on is the amendment to
No.
approve with 120-day.
We are voting on adoption of the public comment policy as amended.
Amended with 120-day review.
Correct.
Supervisor Gilliam.
Yes.
Trustee Matuzek.
No.
Trustee Wade.
No.
Trustee Kress.
No.
Trustee King.
Yes.
Treasurer Aiello.
Yes.
Clerk Meltzer, no. Motion fails. Motion fails. 4-3 against.
That brings us to, bear with me here,
17.
I got it. I just got to call it up on the agenda. Item number 17, amendment to Township's purchasing and bid policies and procedures.
Department of Public Services respectfully submits this request for consideration of an amendment to the Township's purchasing and bid policies and procedures. Requested amendment, the proposed change would establish an intermediate procurement category for purchases exceeding $20,000 but less than $50,000. Under this amendment, departments would be permitted to obtain a minimum of 3 written quotations in lieu of conducting a formal sealed bid process, provided that Township Board approval is obtained prior to award. Current policy context, under the current policy, purchases of $20,000 or more require a formal sealed bid process through the Township's bid platform. While this ensures transparency and competitive pricing, it has been the experience of DPS and other departments that this threshold is increasingly exceeded due to rising costs and inflation. As a result, routine and or time-sensitive procurements are often subject to extended timeliness and additional administrative burden. The reason for the request is this amendment is intended to provide the township with greater flexibility while maintaining accountability and oversight. Key considerations include improved efficiency by reducing procurement timelines for purchases that do not warrant a full sealed bid process, expanded vendor participation, particularly from local and regional vendors who may not utilize the township's preferred bid platform, potential cost savings by allowing departments to solicit competitive pricing directly from qualified vendors, maintain flexibility as departments would retain the option to utilize the formal bidding process or bid platform when appropriate. It has also been observed across multiple departments that requiring use of the bid platform for purchasing for purchases exceeding $20,000 can limit participation from local vendors and delay project delivery. Compliance with state requirements. The proposed $50,000 threshold aligns with Michigan Public Act 213 of 1963, MCL 129, which requires performance and payment bonding for public works contracts exceeding $50,000. This amendment does not alter or reduce any statutory requirements. All bonding and legal obligations would remain in full effect, and sealed bid procedures would continue to be utilized where required or deemed appropriate. Department input and support. The Department of Public Services proactively reached out to all departments that would be impacted by this proposed change to solicit feedback. All responding departments expressed support for the amendment, indicating a shared need for increased flexibility within this procurement range. Only one department did not respond. Feedback received highlighted consistent challenges with vendor participation through the township's bid platform, particularly among local vendors, as well as the need for more efficient procurement timelines. Notably, Police Chief Susala provided the following input. I'm in favor of this proposal. We have had challenges with getting local vendors to utilize BidNet. Most of our acquisitions are in the form of equipment. A benefit to this proposal is the ability to obtain quotes from local vendors who do not utilize BidNet as is mentioned. We find that utilizing local vendors is preferred from a customer support aspect, especially after acquisition. The feedback reflects a broader consensus among departments and reinforces the operational benefits of the proposed amendment. In conclusion, the requested amendment is intended to modernize the township's procurement process to better reflect current market conditions while maintaining transparency, competition, and compliance with applicable laws. The Department of Public Services respectfully requests that the Budget, Ways and Means Committee review this proposal and consider recommending approval to the Township Board. Please contact Mary Bednar or Brett Middlestead with any questions for additional information regarding this request. Respectfully submitted, Mary Bednar, Director of Public Services, and Brett Middlestead, Assistant Project Manager.
Questions from the board?
Mr. Gilham, very quickly.
Ms. Bednar.
This did go to Budget, Ways and Means, and that letter is in there. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, I don't
This
know.
was the letter that we wrote for Budget, Ways and Means. I don't know, there's parts of the letter from Budget, Ways and Means we might want to include. For example, the language from the attorney and so forth.
Yeah, 'cause
Maybe.
this policy was drafted, that did not make the actual packet for some reason.
Oh, you know what, it is in here. It just said, the other one was Budget, Ways and Means Committee. Yeah, I read the wrong letter. But I will say one thing, if I can. If we want to make any changes
Clerk
that are
Meltzer.
going to make this meeting more efficient, it would be not having to read all these letters in an item, because we should have already read them anyways. As board members, we should already know what they say pretty much. We should be just talking about the highlights of everything. If we're not expecting the public to weigh in on stuff, why are we reading all of this?
Trustee Kress.
After looking at the reasons for the request, there's four bullet points, and I don't agree with any of them. It said, improve efficiency, purchases that do not warrant a full sealed bid. I don't think that's true. I think that our bid process is, once again, without any problems right now. It said expanding vendor participation, particularly from local and regional vendors who may not utilize the township preferred bid platform. Well, they should utilize the township preferred bid platform. The next one is potential cost savings, allowing departments to solicit competitive pricing directly from qualified vendors. That sounds like playing favorites, and they know there's a $50,000 ceiling that you can reach on everything without coming to us, the elected officials who are here to control the purse strings and the spending. And then the fourth one is maintain flexibility. As departments would retain the option to utilize the formal bidding process or the bid platform when appropriate. That's our job. That's our job to decide who gets one, look at in our packet, who the low bidder is, and if they're qualified, they've used the township preferred bidding platform, and we can decide. I think this just breeds favoritism, and all of these things are going to come in higher than they would if we went out for a competitive bid like we're doing right now. Thank you.
This policy doesn't preclude these issues from coming to the board. It just adjusts the threshold that they could get 3 quotes, and it raises that threshold. Trustee Matuzik.
The part that was not included in the letter that was read is the part that our requirements, specifications would be posted on the website for all to see. And that's a really critical part of this. We talk a lot about wanting to use local vendors and small businesses. They're not going to BidNet. They find it complicated. Putting out there for everyone to see what the specifications are for the project, whatever it is we're purchasing at that point, so everyone can see it. We have a clear process about how people submit their estimates. We get at least 3 of them, and we proceed. As it is, in the last few meetings, we have approved sort of emergency purchases that needed to happen quickly. We waive the bid process. I know Mr. Kress votes against that all the time, but some of us obviously see a need to sometimes waive that more formal process. This, in the category of the $20,000 to $49,999, make sure that we can find sometimes smaller, local, more diverse suppliers who have a common set of specifications that everyone knows about, and they submit it, and we review, and we pick the 3, and we pick the lowest cost one. And I think that makes a lot more sense. One of my desires, the thing I heard a lot about when I was running for office, is you guys always use the same contractors. There's no way for new people to get in to this process. Well, we're trying to do that in a way that encourages more small business participation. The fact that we get 3 estimates and we look them over and we pick the best one, I think is totally fair. It's not going through BidNet. BidNet, if you're $50,000 or above, you still got to go through BidNet. If you're lower than $20,000, our department heads can simply purchase it. But this gap, the $20,000 to $49,999, presents an opportunity for us to find local businesses who can bid on our work. And I think it makes a whole lot of sense and increases the pool of local contractors who can do work with us, who want to do work with us, because we're making it easier for business to do work with us. So I'm fully in support of this one.
Is there a motion of support?
Okay.
Moved
I have
and
a question.
supported.
I have a question.
Clerk Meltzer.
Did we talk about where this is going to go on the website? Is this going to be under whoever's doing the research? Is it going under our, or is there going to be one location, and has it been built yet, or probably not since we haven't approved it, but.
We are in discussions, or we're going to be discussing it with our communications department. But I'm envisioning that it would be its own tab, so that it can be easily found.
I think so, yeah, I like that idea. Okay, I just wondered. All right. that's it.
Further discussion from the board? Public participation. Regale us.
Yes. It's good. There again, as you know, a homeowner that bids out processes, for my home, it's not like I'm dealing with real money. I'm not dealing with tax dollars. But I would want to have companies that actually are enough in business that they could go through the official process. I mean, it just makes sense. The only reason, of all the projects with all the homes I've owned over home ownership for over 50 years, I've never had anybody come in with the cost overrun. I've always had the contract down pat. When they bid, I get a written down bid process. Here, the government has set up these different processes where they're, the bid net such. If a local contractor cannot navigate the complex process of BidNet, do we want him to, or her, to try to navigate the complex process of what we need done? I think we're literally begging for cost overruns, where you're going to have to look at, if they can't do a contract that lists everything, which is how, it's done now, you're going to have cost overrun after cost overrun, and you're probably going to make a lot of people that haven't taken the time to learn their craft enough to actually follow the processes rich with our money. And there again, the homeowners, we have to make sure we know what the contract says. And I think to hire companies that don't know how to, use the contract process, that is really, really dumb.
Thank you for those thoughts. Roll call, please.
Trustee Matuzak?
Yes.
Treasurer Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Wade?
No.
Trustee Kress?
No.
Supervisor Gilliam?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Clerk Melser, yes. Motion passes.
Item number 18, the add-on request to revise cost shares from the Department of Roads.
Okay. Dear members of the board, please see the attached email and revised cost share amounts from the Department of Roads. The last column of the attached chart is the amount of the cost share for each road. Canal and Moravian share have been revised to do a 2-inch overlay instead of the original proposed Detail 7 rehabilitation. This increases the overall project's amount by approximately $300,000, but it is still within the fiscal year 26-27 budgeted amount for road projects. It is our recommendation to revise the cost share agreements in accordance with the revised share amount on the attached table with a net increase of approximately $300,000. Thank you for your consideration. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. Sincerely, Mary Bednar, Director of Public Services.
I want to thank Ms. Bednar for having an open line of communication with the County Department of Roads and being very quick in responding when opportunities like this come forward. Obviously, we knew that a lot of these projects are temporary fixes, but that actually last a little bit longer than we, can guarantee. But the fact is, when the Department of Roads communicates with their contractors and their contractors say, hey, we think we got a better way to do this, if we up this a bit and we can have a much better result in the project, and Department of Roads is in agreement with that, then that's why we brought this forward tonight. The other factor that I would mention is that a lot of these projects, when we're put out to bid, they came back less than what we had budgeted and less than what we had anticipated. And the source of these funds for meeting our share is the Clinton Township Infrastructure Fund. And specifically, those are aggregated, separated out dollars, so they weren't spent in the general fund and could go to projects just like this to find more permanent fixes. And so for that reason, I asked Ms. Bednar and the board to vote to place this on the agenda tonight. And so if there's a motion to approve or questions.
I'll make that motion to approve.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Treasurer Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Matuzak?
Yes.
Trustee Wade?
Yes.
Trustee Kress?
Yes.
Supervisor Gilliam?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Clerk Melser, yes. Motion passes.
Okay. That brings us to public comment. Captain? Thank you, sir. Mr. Bushell.
There again, I think, and we were talking about Forever Chemicals earlier in this meeting. And, recently the board approved 35350 Kelly, which is Consumer Energy. They approved their first ever site plan on 22 plus acres of property. And there again, they built a 2-story tall berm out of, the first soil came from where they were replacing hazardous chemical tanks and putting in new ones. Lovely dirt. And since then, they added dirt from all over God's creation. None of it tested. As the person in an email that the board did get a copy of, the person from Consumer Energy said they looked at the dirt and it looked good, so they just put it there. This is directly next to homes and a park. We now have, and have had for the last several, there again, this site plan was approved based on a recommendation from the Planning Commission. There was no, ZBA never heard it because any of the variances that are involved would have been for cost only, and they wouldn't have been able to approve it anyway. So it never went to the ZBA. But the board approved it with all these variances. And now we have every night, we have them bringing in, and their projects, there again, they're digging up dirt on the expressways, businesses, wherever. They bring that dirt that should probably be, you know, because it's coming from very iffy situations where there's been leaks of chemicals and such, should go to a hazardous landfill to be tested, or at least be tested. They bring it in and they dump it off back behind that berm in the back of the property. You can look at it, you can see it. If you go to McDonald's, you can see it. This is so close to everything. Nothing tested, and then they get away with it, the fact that then a few days later, that dirt that's been dumped there and dropped off possibly, cancerous-causing chemicals to the residents, some of whom that I think you'd probably love to see gone anyway. So, but you turn around and this township needs.
Why on earth would you say that? Why on earth would you say that
Same
you
reason that
think
same-
this board thinks some of those residents should be gone?
Well, because if you
honestly.
You're interrupting, and there again, the attorney can say if you can do
All
that.
right,
under
I'll
public
give you
ed-
another 10 seconds.
She's shaking her head. Why don't you look at her? Yeah. Okay. Well, as
Another
it,
assertion that's false.
well, I reclaim my minutes because it's a matter of.
You'll reclaim your 10 seconds.
Oh, that was way more than 10 seconds, sir. The video will prove it. But anyways, if this board does not have an ordinance on file forcing dirt to be tested before it's dumped next to residential properties, all properties actually, you obviously should come up with one. And there again, I submitted the question again tonight, as you all know, because you got a copy of it ahead of time. And hopefully you'll honor the current situation, which is to answer those questions. Do we have a policy? Are we going to have a policy? It's that simple. And there again, it would answer the question as to why.
3 minutes and 10 seconds.
It would obviously answer the question as to why I would say.
Mr. Duggar.
Why this board wants to kill people.
Mr. Duggar.
Good evening again. Dana Duggar, 37852, from the finest neighborhood in this township. Except that we had some car B&Es last night, but our friends from the for the PD are going to work on that. Just want to thank the board majority for preserving our ability to interact and participate in the rulemaking of our beloved community. May you all have a good evening, and may God bless you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Weir.
Thank you. Regarding where you said about when a resident makes a comment, you don't do the back and forth thing where they might be not telling the truth or whatever. Why don't you print a disclaimer on here indicating that during comment sections, things may be mentioned that are or are not true, and people should look it up themselves.
I don't think it's us.
Thank you, Ms. Weir.
I was laughing.
Motion to adjourn is in order.
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Support.
Roll call,
Who
please.
supported it? I didn't hear.
I did.
Trustee
Okay,
Wade.
Thank you. Treasurer Aiello.
Roll
Trustee
call, please,
Wade.
Ms. Melcher.
Hiya. Trustee Wade.
Yes.
Trustee Matuzak.
Yes.
Trustee Cross.
Yes.
Supervisor Gilham.
Yes.
Trustee King.
Yes.
Clerk Musser, yes. Motion passes. It's
We're
9:12.
adjourned.